San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Tuesday, everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This, the one-year anniversary of the Braden Surprenant Show with Frank Marchese. How about that? Round of applause. Yeah, it's great. Made it here. The first day that we worked together for the full calendar year.
On Mark Grant Day of all days.
Mark Grant Day. Happy Mark Grant Day. Does Mark Grant know it's his day today?
Probably not.
Probably not. Probably has no idea it's Mark Grant Day today. I love that we continue to do that bit throughout the year. The downside is that you get to like the end of the month and it stops being any of those days because of the numbers get all jacked up. But happy Mark Grant Day. Hopefully Mark Grant can bring home a winner today, or maybe get the offense going a little bit after last night. Padres lost to the Giants 3-2 last night. Another game where the offense just felt like it disappeared. And only Jackson Merrill recorded a hit yesterday off of Trevor McDonald through 7 innings. The pattern for the offense continues: dead early and dangerous late. And we got a lot to talk about when it comes to the offense today, when it comes to Fernando Tatis Jr., when it comes to what Craig Stammen said yesterday. A lot of trending topics for Major League Baseball that we're going to get into. Also, today is the blood drive. So we're going to have Claudine Van Gonka on to tell you how you could help donate blood today. I know it's a little bit of a rainy day out there, a little colder than usual. I sat in the pouring rain at football practice this morning at 6 a.m. That was fun. It's like, what month is it? Why am I out here this early? Why is it pouring? I don't. Why am I installing a cover 6 right now? That was me this morning. The best part, though, is before practice started, our defensive coordinator asked the head coach, Coach Doyle, he's like, is it supposed to rain today? Is it supposed to rain a little bit? Yeah, it's only like 35%. And I think it's just I think this is it right now. But it was before it started raining. And it started pouring. And at one point, I pulled the quote from Caddyshack. I don't think the hard stuff's coming down for much later. It was raining sideways. I thought I had a cold plunge. I thought I jumped into a cold plunge.
Again, it's 35% of the area, not 35% chance.
Correct. We were 100% the 35% of the area this morning at Cathedral. So, back to, speaking of cold things, let's talk about the offense for the Padres. Okay, I'm going to say this about last night's game. Before we take a deeper dive into the offense, and there's a lot of glaring numbers, and before we hear from Craig Stammen, and Jesse Agler, who, by the way, had some interesting things to say about the Padres on with Ben and Woods this morning. Before we get into any of that, my overall takeaway of last night's game. I thought Randy Vasquez pitched fine. He gave up the home run to Casey Schmidt. I'm tired of watching San Diego kids that haven't had really good years just dominate the Padres. And I'm just tired of that. So the East Lake kid hits a home run early in the contest, give the Giants a 2-1 lead after Jackson Merrill got the lead going for the Padres with a solo shot. From that point, I thought, again, Randy Vasquez pitched fine. He gave up the sac fly late in the game after a double that saw chalk. Didn't really get the bounce his way. He pitched fine. He wasn't elite. He wasn't terrible. I thought he pitched fine. Overall, for the offense, it was absolutely abysmal outside of Jackson Merrill against McDonald. Old McDonald had a farm, and the Padres were not on it when it came to the hitting spree yesterday. Trevor McDonald, Ronald McDonald, Norm McDonald. I mean, you pick whatever McDonald's you want. Own the Padres yesterday. And by the way, was anybody really surprised about yesterday's result based on the circumstances going into the game? You had a guy that had not pitched all year, who had has had limited time in the big leagues, making his season debut again for a team that has lost 6 straight games. Come on. You knew that was going to happen, right? I mean, that's just kind of where we're at with Padres baseball. And it just feels like that's baseball in general. I know there's a lot of guys that go out there and make their debuts and they get shelled, but for some reason, it seems to be a recurring thing for the Padres. You know what? I chalk it up as a hang with them last night overall in the game. That's not saying that the offense doesn't need to be fixed. That's not saying that you have to get Fernando Tatis Jr. right and the big core 4 right. That's not to be said that I don't know why they're going to, I don't know how many more times you can continue to roll out Jake Cronenworth. I mean, pick what you want. They had a lot of underlying conditions yesterday, and we're going to take a deeper dive into that in just a little bit. But I have to say, overall from yesterday seemed like a hang with him game that is overemphasized because of the fact the offense is struggling and because of the fact that you had a guy with no book on him go out there and shove against you. I mean, he looked good. You got to tip your hat to Ronald McDonald, Trevor McDonald, Norm McDonald, whoever it is. He played well. But at the same time, you've got to be able to take advantage of teams that aren't very good. And there's some glaring numbers that popped up from yesterday that is a recurring theme 34 games into the season. But overall, Frank, before we dive into the numbers that are glaring issues for this team, if last night's game was in the middle of July after a 3 or 4 game winning streak, what do you think of last night's game?
It was just another game.
It
honestly,
like
I mean, you're going to lose games like these sometimes. And teams, I know, being a Met fan, you make the other pitcher look like Cy Young every now and again, especially when it's a young pitcher. So with whatever, I mean, you're going to eventually get a book on Lee McDonald from last night. But other than that, I mean, this is just another game. This is one of those games that you wash off and you'll forget about Troy McDonald in 2 days.
Yeah, I don't think you have to see Norm tomorrow, so I think you'd be okay with that. But, I mean, if they win the next 2, you don't feel that bad about it. Now, let's talk about the offense in general. And then we're going to talk about Fernando throughout the day. And we're going to talk about what Craig Stammen said in last night's game. And we're going to get your phone calls on this. I mean, obviously, the offense is not very good. Here's the deal with here's the biggest takeaway from Kevin Acey's newsletter today. He went into a deep dive on a lot of numbers. But here's what stands out. A couple of things. One is the offense. And I'm going to take a little bit of a better, closer look at this later on in the year, or later on in the show, probably the next segment. The difference between how the Padres do against starters compared to relievers is the exact opposite of Major League Baseball. But let's get to the clutch masking problem. The Padres have 20 wins. 10 of those 20 wins, about half, right? That's half, are go ahead or come back in the 7th inning or later. Only 14 of the 34 games have the Padres had a lead after 6 innings. That is not sustainable over 162 games. Like, look, I know they have a winning record. I know that just 2 weeks ago, they had won like 7 or 8 straight games, and I understand that the Padres are winning games, and so from that standpoint, it's hard to complain when you're winning games. I think it is hard to complain when you're winning games. But they're showing some late game heroics, which is fine. You want to be able to do that later in the season. You want to be able to do that in the playoffs. The problem is you can't do that every single night. You can't rely on coming back all the time because you're going to get worn down. You're not going to make it through the year. That's a glaring hole for this team. The other thing that's happening, and Craig Stammen talked about this, we're going to get this later on in the show. The sinker slider problem is a massive problem for this team. Other teams are attacking the Padres with sinker-heavy starters, and the Padres are struggling to lift or damage low-zone pitches, and they have faced a heavy diet of this pitch mix. I mean, Craig Stammen talked about it yesterday. And the result has been ground balls, it has been weak contact, and it has been early innings equaling nothing. Which goes back to this stat that I haven't said yet, but the Padres against starting pitching, a 211 average and a 608 OPS. That's the fourth worst in baseball for batting average and the fifth worst in baseball for OPS. Against relievers, a little bit different. They're at 255 and they have a 771 OPS. League average is basically identical versus both. Padres are actually doing completely backwards. And when asked about this, Xander Bogaerts said, relievers are supposed to be the tough ones. And right now, it's the starters that are the tough ones for the Padres, and they're really relying on the sinker-slider problem that the Padres have. Quality starts. Starting pitchers of opposing teams are a quality start machine against the Padres. 16 quality starts allowed in 34 games. That's basically every other game the opposing starter dominates the Padres. You can't just say, well, we're just going to tip our cap. The guy was good. I mean, that is a recurring trend, which leads to approach issues early in games. If you look at the numbers that the Padres have first time through the order against starting pitchers, and you see what their stats are in the early innings of games, they are chasing way too much. And you could talk about Jackson Merrill in a second. We're going to. They're chasing way too early. And maybe it's something about the lineup construction or sequencing of this team. And we'll talk about that later on the show, too, because Jesse Agler kind of alluded to that in his interview with Ben and Woods. So Jackson Merrill made an adjustment. It could be the blueprint for this team. We'll talk about that when we go to break. And we'll talk about the offense as a whole, because right now it's not clicking. Right now the approach is off. And right now there are some other glaring stats that need to be addressed that might paint the picture of why the Padres are struggling so much offensively. We'll get to that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Sports Station, 97 through the Fan.
Tune in Thursdays at 9 a.m. for 97.3 The Fan's Epic Padres Roundtable.
San Diego Gulls season comes to an end after a first-round playoff exit to Colorado, and it's a tough finish to a strong year for the San Diego Gulls. They fall in two straight games, including a 3-0 shutout in Game 1 and a 6-1 loss in Game 2 to end the series. But the story isn't just the losses, it's how they got here. This is a team that hadn't been back in the playoffs in years, developed key young players, and saw major contributions from guys like Sasha Podusov, who scored their only playoff goal. Goaltender Damian Clara also stepped up in his playoff debut, keeping them alive early in the series. But offensively, the chances just weren't there, and Colorado controlled too much of the pace in this particular series. While the result stings, the season showed real growth because now the standard changes. And next year, it's not just about making the playoffs, it's about winning in the playoffs. And when you look at the goals and you look at the 2026 season, making the Calder Cup playoffs is huge for them. It might have come to an early end, Frank, but the way the Ducks are playing their parent club in the NHL and the way that the talent is starting to stack here in San Diego, can't be too upset with them dropping a very tough 2-7 seed playoff series in the first round of the Calder Cup playoffs.
No, absolutely not. And even in defeat in Game 1, standout performance. Damian Clara made his AHL debut, postseason debut, and delivered 25 saves on 27 shots. The last goal coming on an empty netter. Kept the game within reach despite limited offense. The Gulls were heavily outshot and spent long stretches of the game defending, but Clara's performance gave them a chance, and especially out of a goaltender, that's really all you can ask for, is to keep the team in. The real issue, discipline, puck management, swings that tilted momentum. Unfortunately, all of those swings were tilted towards Colorado.
Yeah, and Game 2 followed a very similar script with more separation, if you will. San Diego scored their only playoff goal of the series in the first period when Pastujov buried one to tie the game early. Assist came from Noah Warren, Nicholas Briard, but that was it offensively. Colorado controlled the pace. They added goals in every key moment, ultimately pulled away for a 6-1 series clinching win. One bright spot, though, was the way that Sasha led the way a lot for this season, and he's been a consistent storyline. He has led the team in scoring. He led the team in scoring during the regular season. He scored the lone playoff goal. He continued to be the most dangerous offensive threat all year. And even in a short series, he showed he can produce under playoff pressure. That was a big bright spot, not only this year, but also in this series.
Yeah, this is one of those things where if Passagov messes around a little bit too much, he might find himself up in the NHL and playing in Anaheim instead of playing down here in San Diego. So a great season for Sasha Passagov. He clearly showed that he was the standout player of the season for them and the biggest bright spot in a season full of them for this team.
What went wrong, though, the series came down to a few clear issues. Frank mentioned some of them already, but shot differential. San Diego heavily outshot in game one, limited chances overall. Special teams, very inconsistent. We talked about that throughout most of this year about the San Diego goals. Power plays, didn't cash in for the goals. Momentum swings after penalties, limited offensive zone time in key stretches. And even when the goaltending held up, the pressure eventually broke through. You saw a lot of the problems and the clear issues that we saw in the regular season really do the goals in the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's unfortunate that it's only 2 games, but again, that wasn't really the main goal here for the San Diego Gulls. This was a major step forward season for them, a return to the playoffs for the first time in years, improved overall record and their consistency as well. Breakout season for key young players. NHL call-ups and development pipeline is in progress. This is not just a team that made the postseason. It grew into a competitive American Hockey League team again, and that is a big change, especially moving forward.
Yeah, and as much as like the question might have been like, was this a playoff? If this playoff exit a disappointment? I think the overall season of making the playoffs is huge.
Yeah,
I think it's a step in the right direction. Them getting in as the 7th seed and upsetting Colorado, I think would have been a very tall task. Even if they won one of the games in Colorado, I think it would have been a very tall task. So yeah, getting swept is disappointing. Obviously, losing the last game 6-1 is disappointing. But when you look at this group and you look what they're bringing back next year, and you look at what the Anaheim Ducks are doing at the NHL level in the postseason right now, this is everything that you are looking for in the growth of your AHL club. And now a lot of the success for the Gulls is based on what the Ducks do, but with the Ducks turning the things around and they have a really young team up in Anaheim.
You white knuckle ride, killing time, flying high as I held on tight to you.
10:18 on a Tuesday. This is what happens when the Padres lose. You just have people just spewing nonsense, thinking it's going to fit as they have fits that the team is losing games in May. I get it. I know you want to win a World Series. I get it. I know you want to win the playoffs. I get it. I understand. I've been here for my entire life. I understand the pain that is watching the San Diego Padres sometimes. And sometimes you got to be a little bit even keel. Now, I will say this. A lot of the... We might have to start this segment soon, Frank. Now is a great time based on how the way the Padres have been playing. But some of the comments already I've seen, it's like the whole team doesn't care now. Like Fernando doesn't care now, and the team doesn't care now. 2 weeks ago, they won 8 straight games, and they were battling back. And did they not care in Colorado? They just got lucky. I mean, come on now. Once you start using logic, it's come on. Let's put to bed the whole they don't care thing. Let me ask you this question, Frank. If Fernando has a bad day, which he's had some bad days so far this year, I would say a lot of people agree that he has not played to his highest potential. He struck out 3 times yesterday, 4 times, whatever it was, 3 times.
He struck out and number. I'm not sure what that number is.
Is the fact that he walked back sad mean he's not invested and doesn't care? Would you rather have him be like happy and cheery in the dugout? Does that mean he cares? I mean, like, what are we going to do with the whole care thing?
I want him breaking his bat over his leg, dude.
But then you'd be like, look at him, like he can't handle himself. He can't handle adversity. He just lost his mind, just crashed out.
Gee, it's almost like when you're a professional athlete, you're in a no-win situation
That's
no matter
right.
what you do, you know? God, that stinks, doesn't it?
That's just what happens when the team loses. Everybody's like all over it. I did see someone also tweet out that like, oh, the more this goes on, the more like I start to think maybe it's time to trade Fernando. Just give me a break, dude.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Here's the thing. You got to use the analysis of, are you willing to watch said player that you want to trade play for your biggest rival against you? If at any point in time immediately you think no, then you probably shouldn't trade said player. Now, that's not everybody. There's some people that are starting to warm up to that idea, but I'm going to shut that down.
I have a Cubs fan who's offering Michael Conforto straight up.
No, thanks. Let's get
just hit a walk-off home run.
Sick. I don't care.
One more than Fernando has.
Okay, here it is. You want to talk about? Let's talk about Fernando. All right. I was going to talk about some of the offense. Let's talk about Fernando. Now, let's hear from Craig Stammen on Fernando Tatis Jr. and trying to find his feel. This was Craig Stammen, the manager of the Padres, after yesterday's game.
He's working in the cage every day. It's not for lack of effort. He's trying new things and trying things to unlock himself. And I think sometimes he feels really close, and then it just kind of turns a little bit the other way, face some tough pitching, and he's not able to, stay on that hot streak. So we'll keep working. He's going to keep working every day. I trust that his ability is eventually going to come through, and he'll be just fine.
Is there ever awareness in this, maybe not just for him, just generally speaking, trying new things, trying too many new things?
Yeah, there's a possibility of that. Like he's somewhat of a tinkerer anyway with his stance. He's a feel type of player, and he wants to feel a certain way when he's in the box. And that's not just like you got to feel good to play good. He's looking for a feeling that puts him in a comfortable position to hit. And so, a lot of times with feel guys, they, go, there's some ups and downs with that. I was a feel pitcher. I felt that when I, felt my mechanics were really good, there was no way I could miss a spot. And then there was days where I was just a little off, and it felt like I was, throwing left-handed sometimes. So, I understand how that feels when you're a field player, and I think eventually he's going to feel it and he's going to get hot.
I think so too. I also I'm on the fence with this because I believe both things. Like Dennis Lin had a recap from yesterday talking about eventually multiple times because Craig Stammen in his post-game press conference said eventually they're going to break through, eventually this, eventually that. And I get it. Like it's May 5th and you get to a position where you don't want to hear that anymore. You want to see the results. You give them the time to kind of figure it out. You give them the opportunity to start figuring out offensively. You give them the opportunity to, for a month now, be able to get right. There's only so much more of the, like, eventually it's going to happen. Right? Like, you have to, it starts to fall on deaf ears. And that's why I'm on that side of this, of the story on this, just as much as I am in the sense that he's trying to fix this problem. And Fernando is a tinkerer. I mean, how many times we've seen, by the way, all these swing coaches on Twitter post all the different swings that Fernando has. I mean, he's constantly tinkering with the swing. He's going to keep doing it until he finds the feel that he likes. And then that's what he's going to stick with. And then from that point, he's going to be trying to lock in his new adjustments. And again, it's not for a lack of trying. I mean, they're trying to make this happen. He's trying to make this happen. But I just want to talk about Fernando in general, about like just the perspective. Now, here's what I think. I do believe that Fernando is off to a bad start. I don't think it's hard to say otherwise. Like, he's hitting 252, the 625 OPS. His OPS plus is below 100 for the first time ever in his career. He doesn't have a home run through his first 33 games played because he had Sunday off. This is not why you're paying him what you're paying him, right? You could be upset about the fact that he hasn't played up to his best potential so far. Now, at the same time, I also can point out some other things that this is extra heightened because it's the first 34 games of the season. Let's go back to 2024. You remember 2024, Frank? Do you remember like the whole, like Fernando was hitting well in the playoffs in 2024, like that whole ordeal?
Mm-hmm.
In 2024, like he only played in 102 games in 2024. He was an all-star at age 25, right? He hit 276 with an 833 OPS, had 21 home runs. He was an all-star in 2024, okay? Like he had a good season in 2024. Any of those numbers I said, not good.
No.
His WAR is not very high, but he only played in 102 games. Well, in 2024, his first 34 games, he hit 233, which is less than what he's hitting now. He had a 324 on base percentage, which is, I think, lower than what he's got currently now. He had a 426 slug and a 751 OPS. His OPS was higher. Okay, fair enough. We already know that his OPS isn't very good to start the year at 625, which, by the way, if he finished like this, would be a career low.
Bless you.
But those are not numbers that just jump off the page like being very good. That was the first 34 games he had in 2024. Last year he got off to a great start. Last year he's in like 321 out of the gate. Last year he only had one home run in the month of August, which is not great. Hasn't hit a lot of home runs as of late. But last year he had a 34-game stretch where he hit 220 with a 667 OPS with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. A 238 batting average on balls in play. That was a 34-game stretch. I'm not doing this to come up with excuses, but I am doing this to show that it'd be one thing if this was the entire season. It's not the entire season. This is a small sample out of what is going to be a lot of games for Fernando. I mean, Fernando is averaging 709 plate appearances per year. How many plate appearances does he have so far, Frank? 143. He averages 709. 143 is 20%. This is 20% of the plate appearances he most likely will have in the season. Okay? Roughly. If he plays 162 games, which he won't. I mean, he's going to be around the 635, 691 range in between there. Here's the other thing. Because we heard, and people were talking about his RBIs in the last however many days. Let's talk about that. Because if you looked at, we talked about last year. Last year he had a good year at the end of the season. Let's talk about he's like, he only has like 1 RBI in the last 15 games. Whatever. Do you know what he's hitting with runners in scoring position this year? You know what Fernando's hitting with runners in scoring position this year? Off the top of your head, Frank? I know it'd be hard to just pull. If you had to guess based on how good Fernando has been. Because what does that mean, hitting with runners in scoring position? That's probably your best example of can he actually drive in runs. Just looking at RBIs in a vacuum, it's like, okay, well, he doesn't control everything in front of him, right? Runners in scoring position this season. What did you say, 260-something? Is that what you were guessing?
267.
Fernando has had 32 plate appearances with runners in scoring position. He has walked 4 times. In these 23 at-bats, he's 8 for 23 with 10 runs scored, 13 RBIs, and 7 strikeouts. He's hitting 348 with a 735 OPS with runners in scoring position.
That's not 267.
That is this season, by the way. 348. Do you know what he's swinging with men on base this year? Remember, that was the whole deal. We got to get Fernando up with guys on base. We got to get Fernando up with runners in scoring position. What is Fernando hitting with men on base? I didn't tell you that one.
Based off of what he's hitting with runners in scoring position, I'd say probably 280.
Hitting 300. Not bad. He's hitting 300 with men on base, 361 with 361 on base percentage, 300 slug, 661 OPS, a little low for a guy like Fernando. But with men on base, guys hitting 300 this season. Pretty impressive. That's a guy that's out there swinging when it matters. He's only had a couple of opportunities with multiple guys on base. If they're on, if it's first and second, it's hitting 250. If he has come up with multiple runners on base a handful of times. He has 4 at-bats with runners on first and second. He has 3 at-bats with runners on first and third. He has 1 at-bat with runners on second and third. And he has had 4 plate appearances with runners with bases loaded. Fernando in those situations with multiple runners on, hitting 250 with runners on first and second, batting 1,000 with runners on first and third, batting 1,000 with runners on second and third, batting 1,000 with the bases loaded. Again, yes, his overall numbers are not great. I continue to say, like, the hard hit percentage. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. They want to hear results, Frank, don't they? They want to hear results. These are results. In games that are late and close, Fernando this year is hitting 333 with a 417 on base percentage and a 417 slug. With 2 outs and runners in scoring position, he's hitting 250. You'll take that. Those are high leverage situations, difficult situations. These are the situations that Fernando is playing in and he is executing in. I know his overall numbers aren't jumping off the page. I know he has not hit a home run this season. The last thing I want to bring up, because I do find this interesting. When Fernando sees a starting pitcher this year for the first time, what do you think he hits? I'm throwing you on the spot. I just want you to play like, let's just guess based on what I've seen.
120.
It's 069. It's terrible. First time when he goes up to bat against a starter, first time he sees the starter this season, he's batting 069 with a 156 on base, a 103 slug, and a 260 OPS. All terrible numbers. I would agree with that. Do you know what he does the second time he sees that starter? Go ahead and guess, just for fun.
285.
He's hitting 304. So after his first at-bat against a starter, he hits 069, right?
Nice.
Can't do it. As soon as he sees that pitcher one time, he hits 304 with a 407 on base and a 348 slug. His OPS jumps up to 755. Are those the best numbers he's ever put up? No, they're not. But to sit there and say, like, he's not doing anything or he's totally lost or whatever, he's still contributing for this team. He's going to figure it out. He's working on things. As Craig Stammen mentioned, we played the audio. He's still putting up the underlying numbers show that he has not been pathetic at the plate. If you want to talk about what the Padres have done offensively against relief pitchers, I mean, everybody's done well against relief pitchers. First time facing a relief pitcher in the game, which is relatively the only time you do it. Fernando against relief pitching. Do you want to know what that is?
150.
He's hitting 357 against bullpen arms this year. That's supposed to be like the electric arm you can't hit. He's hitting 357 with a 785 OPS. Couple of doubles. What does this mean? I don't really know what it means. I will say this. I think it shows you that this guy is still a really good baseball player, and this guy is working on his swing, and just looking at his overall numbers and bitching about it without looking at other things that he has done, I think is a little malpractice. What's your biggest takeaway from what I just explained to you?
He's fine. The biggest complaint is the fact that he hasn't hit a home run yet. That's it. Once he does, he'll be the greatest hitter alive again. That's all there is to it with this. I don't understand where all of this vitriol comes in. He's still hitting. He's hitting over 260. Mm-hmm. Of your big three, Fernando, Jackson, and Manny, Fernando is number one. He is the best of the three. Now, that's not saying much with all three of them not hitting all that well, but he is the best, and he is the best by far. He's got a 40-point lead over Manny in batting average and Jackson, whatever Jackson's hitting now after last night. He is still a superstar player. That's all there is to it. I don't understand. Again, it can't just be he has a no-hit long ball. It can't just be that. You can't just look at 0 in home runs and say he's not good anymore.
Well, and here's
that's just laziness.
Here's the debate too. Like, and the other thing was, we were told like, well, look how he has batting second compared to other batters that bat second in terms of like production. Fernando this year has hit. He has had 27 games where he started in the number 2 hole. He's hitting 275 batting in the second spot this year, 676 OPS. OPS is low. That needs to be better for sure. His OPS plus in that situation is a 117, which is 17 percentage points higher than most everybody else in baseball, right? The average player in baseball. When you look at like the league splits, and a lot of the best players are batting second right now in Major League Baseball, his average is way higher than guys batting second. He's hitting 275. League average is 256. His on-base percentage is the exact same, 353 is league average. His biggest problem is his slug is low. 437 league average for slug in the 2 spot, which, by the way, is the highest out of any batting order in Major League Baseball. And his OPS is low too at 676, which I said he needs to be able to have a little bit more slug, hit the gaps a little bit more, something that he has been working on. And that also in league average, the batting second, the highest out of all of the batting order positions. 790 is the highest OPS. So he's competing with some of the best in Major League Baseball in that particular category. But I think the overall takeaway is Fernando is not hitting home runs. Fernando does care. I don't know why I have to address that. And Fernando is going to turn things around. I almost guarantee that he's going to turn things around. Maybe he won't, and then he'll just have a lousy year. But there's really nothing more you could do about it.
Tatis is not a superstar player. He has to earn that. It's not given.
Who said that? There it is. That's a guy that believes in Luis Ariz too. He already commented about that earlier. But again, to say he hasn't been the same hitter is also not factual. Because a lot of those numbers that he put up in those years, he's actually hitting the ball harder now and swinging the bat harder without steroids, without performance-enhancing drugs now than he did when he was on, allegedly, the drugs. Go look at those numbers. You want to talk about the overall numbers with the Padres? We'll take a deeper dive in that when we come back, because we're well over break here on the Braden Surprenant Show, Stadium Number Sports Station 97 through the Fan.
It's been a while, but they're back. San Diego FC finally looked like themselves again and still couldn't finish the job. A 2-2 draw against LAFC, but here's the real story. San Diego led 2-0 late in the game and completely controlled things for 80 minutes. Marcus Varksen scored twice. Anders Dreyer was creating everything, and it felt like this was the bounce-back performance they needed. Then it happened again. A goal in the 82nd minute, and then the equalizer in the 14th minute of stoppage time. At this point, it's not bad luck. It's starting to be a pattern for San Diego FC. This team can play, they can compete, but they can't close. And until they fix that, these results are going to keep happening. Recap progress until the end. For the first time in weeks, San Diego FC looked like themselves again, but the ending's still the same story. They played LAFC to a 2-2 draw at Snapdragon Stadium, snapping their losing streak, but extending their winless run to 9 matches across all competitions. And once again, they let it slip late, Frank.
Yeah, it was the best performance in weeks. We'll start there because that's where it matters. This was easily San Diego FC's most complete performance in over a month. Marcus Ingvartsen scored twice. Anders Dreyer assisted on both goals. One of them, the first one was from a corner kick in the first 10 minutes. They built a 2-0 lead and controlled much of the match for 80 minutes. Problem is, professional soccer matches are 90 minutes. So this is like the team we saw earlier in the season, composed, aggressive, and dangerous in the final third, even against LAFC, who is very, very good. San Diego dictated the game, which is what you saw not only at the beginning of this year, but all throughout last year that made them the number one seed in the Western Conference.
The problem, though, of course, is the same collapse, different night. I mean, the last 10 minutes, again, as you mentioned, they played 90 minutes in soccer, not 80. They gave up the goal in the 82nd minute. Goalkeeper CJ Dos Santos left with an injury in stoppage time. You just got him back, and now he's already back to being hurt. And Ryan Hollenshed equalized in the 14th minute of stoppage time. Another late goal conceded, another result that slips away. And that's now multiple matches this season where San Diego has dropped points late, and it's becoming their defining issue. And now it's starting to, more they play like this, Frank, this is starting to look like a regression back to the mean after last year. And it's going to make last year look more of a fluke than really what the norm is.
Yeah, absolutely. And because we've seen both sides of San Diego FC now. The good version, creative attack, strong midfield control, dangerous in open play and set pieces. The problem right now is they cannot close games for the life of them. They struggle in the final minutes, lapses in focus under pressure. Head coach Mike Ibarra said it. They were in control at 2-0. Good teams finish that game. And right now, San Diego FC is not doing that. They're not chasing the game anymore. Portland, the first 20 or so minutes from Portland 2 weeks ago, they looked great. They looked like this San Diego FC team. They looked like the San Diego FC team that made it through in the CONCACAF Champions Cup earlier this year. But then complacency started to really trickle in, got lazy in their passes on the back line. It got turned over and Portland scored. They're not chasing games anymore. Now they're just beating themselves.
Let's look at the big picture. Even in a draw, there are signs of life for San Diego FC. The Dreyer and Varkson connection, still there, still elite. Team showed real energy again, which we hadn't seen in a couple of weeks. They proved they can compete with top teams, not only in the MLS, but also they proved that they could do that in the CONCACAF Champions Cup as well. But until they fix the ending, none of it really matters. I mean, they're now sitting 11th in the Western Conference. They're still outside the playoff line. The season is still a very long season. They have a lot of opportunity to move forward here, but they're in this kind of situation of they're very good, but they can't finish. And at the end of the day, it's like what we talk about with the Padres all the time. In the small sample size that we have with the Padres, we can be like, hey, look, things can get better. But now as it gets bigger and bigger for San Diego FC, there's only so much of, yeah, it's going to get better. And until they fix that final 10 minutes, it's not getting better where it matters. And that's in the win column. And that's where San Diego FC is really lacking.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they've won since they lost to Toluca. Yeah,
nine straight non-wins.
Yeah, it's been very, very thin for this team and for a fan base that's not used to seeing this out of this squad. It's going to get very, very tense and very impatient. And you're already seeing it. There was a plane carrying a banner with hashtag Free Lozano or Free Chucky on the back of it. Again, Chucky Lozano is not the problem for San Diego FC. San Diego FC's attack is fine. Their midfield and their creativity is there. It's all on the back line. Chucky Lozano was not affecting the back line. So Chucky not being there is not the reason that San Diego FC is struggling. It's their inability to finish. It's been their lack of discipline, and it's the youth on the back line, things that Chucky Lozano had no effect over.
Next up, road test against the Seattle Sounders FC. That's not where you want to go.
Broadcast live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing us over on Sports Station 97.3, The Fan. What do you think about the YouTube comments today, Frank? What's been your over-evaluation of our YouTube comments today?
Y'all are psychotic. You guys really need to relax, man. Like, I understand that Fernando not hitting a home run yet is worrisome. It is. I'm not going to lie. It is. But you also have to look at what he's doing in the whole of the season. He's been fine. He has been one of your better, more consistent hitters. He just hasn't hit a home run yet. That's it. That's literally it. Unbelievable. It really, it's absolutely amazing to me.
Here's my thing. The offense collectively is not very good. And a lot of it, we're going to dive into like what sounds like they are going to make some changes with the lineup. It sounds like there might be some things on the horizon here for this team when it comes to trying to, help with the offense a little bit. And there's going to be some adjustments that need to be made. I think collectively as a team, they're not hitting the ball very well. It's not just one person.
And really quick, yes, you should hold this team accountable. Absolutely. This offense has not been good. You have to hold that accountable. You have to point that stuff out. Absolutely. What you're failing to remember is you have to hold them accountable to realistic standards. Fernando is not going to hit a home run every time he goes out there. Fernando is not going to go 3 for 4 every single game. He's going to have games where he strikes out 3 times like he did last night. You have to look at what he has done, not in a vacuum. You have to hold the team accountable to realistic standards. And right now, they are outperforming as a team where anyone thought they would be. We all thought they'd be 500 at this point. They're not. They're one of the few teams in this league that has 20 wins. Relax. I know they've lost 5 of their last 6. Relax. It's May 5th. It's not September 5th. Calm down.
This is all stuff that, I don't think Fernando's going to hit what he is currently hitting right now for the entire season, especially with his career numbers that he has put up. I also think, saying here's the thing that's the difference. Saying negative things when the team loses is not holding the team accountable.
No.
Just by saying negative things that don't make any sense.
But
now,
it's realistic to overpay a player and make it impossible for them to live up to. That's the team's decision.
Right.
That's the team's decision.
That's what they needed to do to get that player on your team. So I don't want to take a deep dive into that particular conversation because it gets old very fast. But these guys are not going to play at an elite level the entire time. They're not. It's almost impossible. It's a game that's built on failure. But what we're trying to say is that with a lot of the numbers that Fernando has put up this year, that is the conclusions we're drawing of why we do not think it's a cause for concern. Now, if you want to go back to Jake Cronenworth, I cannot really find a lot of positive things in the metrics that he's going to ever turn that thing around. I mean, you want to talk about some very negative stuff. I mean, Jake Cronenworth, and he knows it, so you don't have to say it. I know we're moved on. Everybody's moved on to the next Padre they want to fry, but the reality is I can't really find a lot of things to be positive about when it comes to Jake Cronenworth's play. There's not a lot of his swing isn't passing the eye test. It's not passing the analytics test. Jake Cronenworth's metrics don't pass. His hard hit, none of that passes. So from that perspective, yeah, there's a massive concern, I think, with they got to pay Jake Cronenworth for the next 5 years, and he's not. There ain't nothing showing that it's going to get better.
Is Fernando hitting his worse than Jake?
No, not even close.
Well, there you go.
Correct. I mean, let's just. Fernando looks like he's in a position where he's part of one of his lulls that he's had throughout the year. I mean, last year he ended the season very well in terms of like his overall numbers. And last year he had a stretch where he hit 220 with a 667 OPS. That was from games 50 to 83 last year. He hit 220 with a 667 OPS. He finished last season hitting 268 with an 814 OPS. I mean, anything over 800 OPS wise, a step in the right direction. Last year, his OPS plus was 125, 25 percentage points better than an average baseball player. That was last year. He had a stretch just like this last year. The only difference is he had 3 home runs during that stretch. He has 0 during this stretch. He actually has more RBIs during this stretch than he did during last year's terrible stretch. First 34 games for him in 2024, he hit 233. He had 4 extra RBIs and 6 home runs. 751 OPS. I mean, he's going to go through stretches like this throughout the season. It's just heightened because it's at the beginning part of the year.
If you have a bad spell at your job, like if we put together a couple bad shows in a row and we feel it, think about how you would react if you're like in a down spell in your job. You're going to be annoyed. You're going to be frustrated. The amount of money you make doesn't change that fact. It might change it for a guy like Anthony Rendon, who just just stole millions of dollars from the Angels. Just because Fernando is making $350 million doesn't mean that he is not as upset as you would be if you were doing poorly at your job. Think of it that way. It's not a matter of, oh, I got money, I'm good. No. He is just as annoyed. He is just as frustrated as anyone else who is under succeeding at their job. Period. Same thing with Jake too, for that matter.
Right.
He ain't happy with how things are going.
I know that we got a lot of people on hold. We got to try to get some of these phone calls in. Then we're going to take a quick break, at the top of the hour, and then get back to this Padres conversation. Let's get out to Ron in La Mesa. Ron, what's going on?
Gentlemen, welcome to Psychiatric Hotline. Holy Lord, guys. Hey, guys, at least we're not Frank. The poor guy's not freaking out with the Mets losing like they are.
Hey, we've won 3 of our last 4. Calm down.
The Dodgers almost got swept by the Rockies, Marlins, the St. Louis, and, they're not freaking out. Yes, I know they got a great team, but they're paying their players a hell of a lot more money than we are. Folks, settle down. We have a winning record. I've said it 100 times, Braden. We are relevant. I think most of this occurs because Woodsy had a complete meltdown this morning, so everybody thinks we're just going off the edge of the cliff. We're fine, folks. People will figure it out. I am worried about Jake. I think Jake's only problem is he needs to change his walk-up song. I'm so tired of hearing that one. He's done it for 6 years. Jake, change it up. Boys, we'll be great. Always good talking to you. Frank, I'm with you, bud. I know what it feels like. Take care, guys.
Come on, man. Frank, he's a Kansas State Wildcat, all right? Goes through a lot of pain, too.
Jake is trying things. All right. He shaved last night.
You know what? Maybe he'll change. Maybe he'll change
drag reduction.
That's right. Maybe he'll change the walk-up song. I mean, come on. It's a frustrating loss last night. The offense in general is not playing well. It's not an individual thing. And there's a couple of outlying things that I think the Padres are going to adjust. And one of it is the fact that they haven't been able to handle the sinker-slider combo from starting pitching. They haven't done well against starting pitching. And the thing that's interesting with me with this for the Padres is Jackson Merrill has made that adjustment now. And it's a small sample size, but he talks about being more selective and getting better results. Last 4 games for Jackson since implementing this, being more selective at the plate, he's 5 for 15. Chase rate has dropped from 38% to 23%. And what did he do last night? What did Jackson Merrill do last night?
Wait a minute. Looking for better pitches to hit is actually going to help you hit?
100%.
Wait a minute.
Stop chasing early in the count. Stop chasing early in the game. Force starters into the zone. Create damage opportunities later. Jackson Merrill has implemented that. We'll see if the Padres start to implement that. And it sounds like they got a lot of changes potentially up their sleeve.
Only people were taught that in Little League, you know?
We're going to get a check-in on the blood drive real quick, and then when we come back, we get back to your phone calls, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Padres offense, something we'll be talking about probably the rest of the show today. Braden Surprenant Show, Setting Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 11 o'clock on the Braden Surprenant Show. Trying to talk people off the ledge a little bit today. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Might disagree on a lot of stuff, but you know what we don't disagree on is helping out the community. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. We usually broadcast from the blood drive when it's going on. Today is the Padres Summer Blood Drive out there at Gallagher Square at Petco Park. They're going to be down there from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. all day today at Gallagher Square at 840 K Street in San Diego, California, obviously, 92101. You can book your appointment online, or you can give a call to 619-400-8251. And joining us now out live at the blood bank, at the blood drive, San Diego Padres blood drive, their summer blood drive, is Claudine Van Gonka of the San Diego Blood Bank. Usually do this in person. Claudine, obviously some scheduling last minute, kind of tough, but it's great to have you on to talk about the blood drive. What's going on? How's the Tuesday going?
Thank you so much for having me on, you guys. It's great. We're down here at Gallagher Square at Petco Park. We're going to be here till 7 o'clock for Padres Summer Blood Drive. It's our 10th annual. And it's a really great time for this blood drive and for the community to come down and help trying to get those blood supplies up to a level where, we don't have to worry as we head into those summer months.
Let's talk about why, you mentioned why today, but like how people can help join today. What's the scene been like so far? Do you have to make an appointment? Walk-ins? What's the latest on today's summer blood drive and what you guys are looking for today?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. When you come down, even if you don't have an appointment, you can come on down. You can park for free in the Lexus Premier parking lot. So that's right across the street from the box office. You swing in through the East Village gate. Again, if you have an appointment, great. You just go through the process. We'll get you your paperwork. If you don't, that's fine. We have an area just reserved for walk-ins. So even though all appointments look like they're full, we have plenty of room. You'll fill out your paperwork. You'll be asked a few questions. You'll get on one of our 9 blood mobiles that are out here today, back to back to back, all throughout Gallagher Square. The process itself to donate whole blood, maybe about 10 minutes in the chair, and then you're getting your snacks. And when you're done with that, the best part really is we're giving away these summer sun shirts, these Padres summer sun shirts. So they're really cool. I guess it's supposed to help you not get sunburned. But you also get a pair of tickets to the May 27th game against the Phillies. And then the Padres also have just a ton of other, cool swag that they're giving away. We've got like treats and things. So you're going to walk out with a handful of goodies, but also the knowledge that you saved up to 3 lives with just 1 blood donation.
Yeah, and I tell my story all the time, obviously, about people that have been affected by the blood bank. I am a living example of that. That's why I love having you on and love supporting the blood bank any way I possibly can. I know you briefly mentioned it, but just kind of tell us through some of the numbers about the amount of people you save. I know you said 3, but there's a lot of people out there that you don't even realize are affected by the blood bank, that have been saved by the blood bank, that are in your inner circle that you might not know. Seems like a very more common thing than a lot of people think.
It really is. 1 in 7 people that enter a hospital end up needing a blood transfusion. And, it's not just for that one-time accident. Of course, that's a lot of the reason why someone would need a blood transfusion. Accident victims, absolutely. But it's also people who, they had complications in childbirth. Oftentimes people use blood products in chemotherapy for cancer patients. I mean, there's just a number of different reasons why people need blood. And, you'd be surprised if you start talking about it within, 6 degrees of separation, you're going to find someone who has needed it, or someone, that or love that's needed it. And so all types are needed on top of it. We always talk about the O's. We really need especially O positive and O negative. But the reality is, we could be one accident away from getting our supply blown out. If there happens to be a tragedy in town, we don't know what types we're going to need. So everybody, no matter what your type, we ask that you come on down and help save a life.
We were at the last one down at Petco Park at Gallagher Square. It sounded like we really did a great job in getting people down there to donate. What's some of the goals today in terms of people down there, in terms of pints? I mean, what's the latest numbers we have on the San Diego Blood Bank, and why it's so important to donate blood here in the summer months too, to stockpile for the winter time?
Absolutely. Well, so for today, we are hoping to beat our grand total from last year, I believe it was a 575. So if we can get between 500 and 600 pints, we will have met our goal. And we do need to get that blood on the shelf in advance of summer. And you brought up that good point is summertime is such a difficult time to collect blood. People are on vacation, they're traveling. Our high school and college partners who host blood drives on campus, well, they're not doing their drives because they're on break. And so that accounts for about 20% of our blood supply. And so we really, really need drives like this to kind of get those stockpiles going as we head into those crucial summer months.
We're talking with Claudine Van Gonka. She is a representative of San Diego Blood Bank as we have the Padres Summer Blood Drive going on right now at Gallagher Square at Petco Park. They are open from 9 in the morning to 7 p.m. today, but they have a lot of different ways that you can donate blood if you don't have time to do it today. Or, Claudine, of course, there are some rules about how often you could donate blood. For the people that might not be able to go down today or had just recently donated, what's the best way that they can donate blood on a different day, but also potentially host a blood drive of their own?
Yeah, definitely. So the best resource really is to go to sandiegobloodbank.org. It will give you all kinds of information about the requirements around donating blood. You need to be at least 17 years old, 110 pounds, and general good health. And, again, if like you said, if you can't come down today, we have blood drives pretty much every day of the year. We have 9 centers throughout San Diego. And the great thing is if you donate between now and the end of the month, you'll still get that Padres Summer t-shirt.
Great news. Claudine, we appreciate all your hard work. Thanks again for helping out. Thanks again for raising awareness and getting people here in San Diego to help donate blood. Hopefully the numbers are good today, and hopefully we could drive some more traffic down there throughout the rest of the afternoon.
We appreciate it, Braden. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Claudine Van Gonka joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. She is down there with the blood bank at Gallagher Square. It is the summer blood drive for the San Diego Padres. Again, they're down there from 9 in the morning to 7 p.m. Parking at the Lexus lot is free. You get a lot of cool snacks. You get a t-shirt. You get a bunch of different cool things and tickets to the game between the Padres and the Phillies on May 27th. So a lot of great reasons to donate blood. You help save lives like mine. You also get to help out a lot of people in the community, and you get some snacks and you get a lot of benefits. Frank Marchese donated blood last time he was down there. We really appreciate Frank, of course, for doing that, and all of you that have done that. So if you have time today, if you're in the downtown area, if you can make it to Gallagher Square, either on your lunch break or after work, we really encourage you to do that and help out this community and help out San Diego. There's a lot of people that need your blood transfusions, and they're trying to get to a different goal. This year, again, summertime hard, wintertime hard. People are on vacation, not thinking about the blood donations, but we really appreciate when you guys are able to do that. I do want to get back to the phones, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll talk more about the Padres offense in just a little bit, but let's get out to the phone calls. Kevin in Chula Vista, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Kevin?
Oh, hey there, Braden. Nice mix of weather here today. A little bit different, and that's good. So getting back to the discussion here on Fernando and what have you, the statistics I'm not going to argue with. You're correct in terms of what the production is overall. But, you cannot deny that the evaluation and expectations of Fernando, and I'll include Manny in that, Xander Bogaerts, all the big contract guys, they're expected to produce at high levels. Especially Fernando, because he had the 42 home run season, and then after that it all unraveled with the injuries and the PED. And so since then, the big home run production is gone. The question is it ever going to return? We've not seen any trend line over the last 3 years that will indicate that that's going to return. That's just the facts as we know it. So whether it's fair or not, I'm not going to debate that. But it is what it is. These guys are expected to carry this team in the big moments. People do not and are not interested in the constant garden variety of excuses of well, it's early and he's adjusting his swing. Last year it was Victor Rodriguez, right? So when are we going to start blaming the hitting coaches again? I mean, come on. At some point, the players are responsible to produce what they are expected to produce, and at a very high level given the expectations that have been basically delivered by the media, if nobody else. And that's where we're at. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Let me ask you this, Kevin. During the course of a 162-game season, how much of a slump is a player like him allowed to have based on failure in the sport? What is your leeway? Like because 34 games every single year, including the year he did very well and hit 42 home runs, he had a 30-something game stretch, maybe slightly less that year, where he hit 220 and his OPS was 600. I mean, eventually that's going to happen. It's the first 34 games this season, so it's a little heightened. How much failure are you going to allow a player like Fernando? Because you have to allow some. This is a game built on failure. I don't want to make excuses. I want to know your expectations, because he's not going to be able to hit that the entire season. It's almost impossible. What is the amount of failure he's allowed to have over what sort of stretch? I would like to know.
Good question, and I'll go right back to what I said earlier. The benchmark for measurement for him was when we had the 42 home run season. People forgot about the 20 games or so. It's not about the slump. It's about impact. And it's about when the game is on the line. And again, I'm pointing out not just Fernando. I'm talking about Manny. I'm talking about Bogarts. I'm talking about all the cats that we've had now here for a number of years that have yet to deliver the World Series ring. That's what they were brought here for. That's what they were paid for. Honestly, let's admit that.
Okay, let me ask you. I'm going to ask you another question. I just want to ask questions here.
Okay.
So I gave you the numbers. Do you remember his numbers for this season where he's not doing well in those clutch situations? Would you consider runners in scoring position an important part of the game?
Absolutely, it's an important part.
Did you hear the part where I mentioned what he's hitting with runners in scoring position in 2026? Did you catch that part?
I'm not as frightened as I said at the beginning.
No. Answer the question. Did you hear that? Did you hear that part? That's the part you brought up that you said was important. So runners in scoring position is important. The whole time, Kevin, you said these guys have to perform in big, too many generics. All right, let me get some specifics. Did you hear the part where I mentioned what he's hitting with runners in scoring position? If you did not, would you like to guess what Fernando has done in 2026 with runners in scoring position?
That is not in question.
I'm asking you. Did you catch that part? Did you catch that part?
Braden, I acknowledge your statistics. I agree with them. What I am talking about is the evaluation that is constantly going on with Fernando. Is he ever going to deliver the power number?
Okay, so how many home runs, Kevin, do you want him to have at the end of the season?
We expected.
What do you want? What does Kevin in Chula Vista? No, it's my show. I could talk what I want to talk. Okay. What does Kevin in Chula Vista want on the home run number for Fernando at the end of a season that you think this justifies the home runs? I would like to know. I need numbers.
My benchmark is 35.
35 home runs. Okay.
Yes.
So he has never done that except for one time in his career.
Bingo.
Okay. Well, that's even before he hit 42. He's hit 22, 17, 25, 21, 25. Maybe that's an outlier, the 42 home runs. I don't think you're ever going to see him hit 42 home runs in a season again. I really don't. If he does, it's great. But you didn't just give him the contract just for the home runs. You gave him the contract because he could steal bases. You gave him the contract because he could play defense. You gave him the contract because he was electric and he could and he had a great arm and he could do a lot of great things. You didn't just give him the contract for 42 home runs. And when you look at his overall numbers, I think if your expectation is to have Fernando hit 42 home runs a year, I'm telling you, you are never going to like Fernando Tatis Jr. You're not. I think that's unrealistic. 42 home runs a year out of Fernando Tatis Jr., I think is unrealistic. Am I being out of line here, Frank? I don't think so. I don't think so. So this is what I'm talking about. This is why Frank said, look, you can hold the team accountable. That's fine. You can hold the team accountable. But you have to have, I think, some realistic expectations of what this team is and what the players are. Did you sign Fernando just for 42 home runs a year? If that's the case, you probably overpaid for him if that's the case. I honestly think if he hits more than 20 home runs, that 20 is kind of low. Like he hit 21 in 2024. Okay, I'll agree with that. But he hit 21 home runs in 102 games. If he hits 25 home runs or more, honestly, I don't think you can really bitch about it. I really don't. I mean, I think realistically, asking Fernando for about 25 home runs is fair. Would you like it to be more? Of course. Of course you would like it to be more. I would love to see him hit 42 home runs. I would. But I just don't think it's realistic. Now, I want to say this because this seems to be a recurring theme here. I got to ask this question because Ben was talking about him being a valuable player. Let me ask you this question, Frank. Again, I'm just the guy asking questions. If Fernando, do we think that, Fernando's going to hit, do we think, when they do these little trade bit things on MLB Network, that Fernando is just going to magically start hitting home runs? Or do you think a lot of these teams kind of understand the player that is Fernando?
I think they know who he is.
Correct. I think they know who he is. Then why does every other organization and all of the talking heads want him to go to other places for the contract that he has? Because it's what? It's valuable. They view that as valuable of the player that he is and the dynamics he brings to a team. Yeah, he doesn't have any home runs right now. Yeah, he's not playing his best. If the season ended today, which it doesn't, he would have a career low on every statistical category across the board. It's been 34 games. He's working on his swing. I don't know what else you want him to do aside from magically get the results tomorrow. I would love that. I would love in life too, with all the work I put into everything involved with life, I would love to get to the end of the road without having to put any work in and getting all the results immediately. I would love that. Has that ever happened to you, Frank, in your life? Have you ever just been like, I'm going to change my habit, and after 2 days, I'm going to reach the goal in which I have set out to reach?
Unless it's get out of bed in the morning, no.
No, again. Here's what I want to say about this, too, because people like to go well, what about the change of scenery for Tatis? If you're a Padres fan, do you honestly think that's a good idea? I will continue to ask this question. If you think it would be better for the Padres if Fernando was playing on the Dodgers against them, if you think yes, then yeah, you should trade him. If you immediately think absolutely not, you got to let this guy figure it out on his own. We're 34 games into the season. It's frustrating because they lost last night. It's frustrating he hasn't hit any home runs. I get it. And everybody in this town wants a World Series tomorrow. But guess what's not happening tomorrow, Frank? They're not winning a World Series tomorrow. At the very least, they will be having an opportunity to win a World Series deep in October. What's today's date?
May 5th.
It's May 5th. So even if everything happens correctly, they're going to have to grind it out until October for you to finally get to the goal that you actually want. I get it. You're frustrated, fans. You want a World Series tomorrow. That doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow. It doesn't. The offense is a problem. Okay? It's more than just Fernando. They have a lot of issues. Some of the issues were addressed in today's newsletter with Kevin Acee. Let's talk about it when we come back, and we'll hear from Craig Stammen what he thinks about the offense. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan.
The NFL draft is over, but here's the real story on the draft. This wasn't about a superstar pick. This wasn't really about superstars at all. This was a depth draft. Teams like the Bills traded back, turning one pick into 5 because the talent gap just wasn't there this year. Meanwhile, the Dolphins, executives say they killed it, stacking talent and culture guys across the board. You saw aggressive teams like the Chiefs trade up, and patient teams like the Cleveland Browns sit back and still win. And don't forget the risks, injury concerns, older prospects, big-time gambles that could define this draft. But the biggest takeaway, the NFL is still built in the trenches. If you can't block or rush the passer, you're not going to win a lot of football games in the National Football League, or really any league for that matter. So who actually got better and who just thinks they did? All right, let's talk about the NFL draft from this past couple of weeks. It's officially in the books, 257 picks, 3 days. Now the real question begins, who actually got better? Because once you get past the hype, the headlines and the draft grades, this is where we start separating smart organizations from the rest. And the overall theme of this year's draft, Frank, volume over flash.
Yeah, we talked about it leading up to the draft, and it played out exactly the way we thought it would. It was not a superstar-heavy class, so teams just adjusted to getting the best draft they possibly could. Take the Buffalo Bills, for example. They traded back multiple times, turning 1 first-round pick into 5 total picks, which should tell you everything. And that teams viewed the late first round and early second rounds as more or less the same kind of tier. So instead of reaching, stack picks, get as many guys as you possibly can. And that seems like more of a modern day NFL draft style rather than just a this year, more of a this year kind of deal.
Yeah, you start looking at, who won the weekend, and one team getting a ton of love around the league is the Miami Dolphins. Executives are saying that they absolutely killed it this weekend, or over the weekend, a couple of weekends ago. They brought in a mix of talent and culture guys. They land Chris Bell as a mid-round steal, Caden Proctor, a top 5 talent who slipped due to concerns, and multiple defensive pieces expected to contribute early. That's how you build a roster. So it's not just talent, it's identity for a team like the Miami Dolphins. And whether or not Chris Ella will be happy about it after the fact will remain to be seen. But at least they drafted a little bit differently. You had a lot of aggressive and patient teams a couple of weekends ago. When you talk about strategy, Kansas City Chiefs stayed aggressive, and they traded up and got Mansour Delane because they believed other teams were about to take him. That's a team that's trusting its board.
Yeah, absolutely. And meanwhile, the Cleveland Browns went the opposite route. They stayed patient. They let the board fall and still walked away with multiple receivers that they had coveted. So 2 completely different strategies. Both of them worked, but only if your evaluations are correct did you really get the full benefit from your strategy working.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the risky picks and some of the big bets. Every draft has them. The Raiders took a gamble on Jermod McCoy, top-tier talent with serious injury concerns. Minnesota Vikings bet on an upside with defensive tackle Caleb Banks, despite multiple surgeries. And the LA Chargers went against the grain. They drafted a 25-year-old prospect in Akeem Masider, prioritizing production over youth. I mean, these are picks that define drafts. They're not the obvious picks. A lot of risk involved, but without taking big risks, sometimes you don't get the big rewards.
Yeah, and for a guy like Jermod McCoy, that was a guy who was projected to go in the first round and fell, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was the first pick of the 4th round. So there must be some serious speculation on McCoy's knee in order for him to fall that far down the draft for a guy who was supposed to be a first-round pick.
One thing is clear, though, it's still the draft. It's still the trenches. The draft is won in the trenches. The league is won in the trenches. And offensive and defensive lines still dominate team building. Eagles double down on the offensive line. Lions aggressively positioned themselves to grab a top tackle. Texans targeted interior linemen early. The message was clear. If you can't block and you can't rush the passer, nothing else really matters. But a few storylines to watch, a few under-the-radar developments. Steelers quietly took a swing at quarterback Drew Aller, betting on development, not immediate impact. Jets were one of the most aggressive teams in terms of trade analytics and board manipulation. And the Jags once again ignored consensus and drafted their guys regardless of public rankings. And for a team that's made the playoffs the last couple of years, you know what? They might be doing things a little bit better than what maybe the experts say.
That's one thing that I have noticed over this draft was you haven't really seen too many teams saying, I don't think we hit on this one. Everyone seems to have a solid gut feeling, at least, of this draft. And not many analysts are too upset over too many teams' drafts, unlike in years past where you had real winners and losers.
And we mentioned it multiple times. We said it before the draft, and now it's confirmed. It wasn't a superstar draft. It was a depth draft. It was finding starters draft. It was, trusting your system. And this is, for the fans of individual teams by far, not necessarily the fun draft for the casual fan, if you will. The teams that win this draft won't be obvious today. This is going to.
I can't not make fun of people sometimes. There's certain people in our YouTube chat that only show up when the Padres lose, and they start just saying their negative stuff that doesn't have any weight, and then it goes to nobody wants to win in this town but me. Everybody's just happy to be here. It's that's not the case, okay? They have a very big problem with Jake Cronenworth we haven't really talked too much about because everybody's focused on the fact that Fernando has hit a home run.
We haven't talked too much about Jake Cronenworth.
Not in the last couple of days.
Have you listened to the show the last 2 weeks?
We had to stop talking about it.
Bro.
We had to stop talking about it because it was
talked about Jake Cronenworth every day.
I still love the fact that somebody was nobody in the media is smart enough to talk about this. And it was literally a subject of ours for an hour on Friday. Come on, man.
We're not the media, dude. We're podcasters.
That's right. That's what the kids say. Hey, Coach, I was listening to your podcast in class. I got in trouble. It's a radio show. Maybe you would have not gotten in trouble if you didn't call it a podcast. To me, the evaluation of these players when it comes to whether or not it's worth their contract and all that other stuff, they're going to have stretches where it's not going to be great. Let me ask you that question. I asked Kevin that question. He didn't really have an answer. Let me ask you the question. For superstar players, how long of a leash do you give them that they're allowed by us fans, allowed to go through a bad stretch?
It depends on when in the season it is. I would say at least a month before I start really getting on a guy, especially if he's a superstar player, maybe a month and a half. So he's coming up on that time where it's we got to really figure something out here. But I mean, that superstars earn that leash.
Correct.
He didn't get a $350 million contract because they felt bad for him. They gave him that because he earned it. He earned the leash that he got. He earned the ability. Same thing with Manny. I would argue the same thing with Jackson Merrill as well. He's earned that leash. Xander Bogaerts too. But the problem is, it's not necessarily the broadcaster or the media leash that people are worried about. It's the fan leash, and the fans give no leash to anyone. Unless you are a darling of the city, you get no leash, period, with a fan base. And that's not just this fan base. That's every single fan base. Every single fan base has this problem in every single sport, period.
Yeah,
you have to be grounded in some form of reality. To expect Fernando Tatis Jr. to hit 35 home runs a season when he's only done it once, and a lot of the reason why he hasn't been able to do it again is because he's been hurt every single year. That's not realistic.
How many home runs should Shohei Ohtani hit every year?
Are you asking me as a fan?
I'm asking you as a... Yeah, I'm asking you as a fan. I'm not asking you as a
media,
somebody in the media. I'm asking you as a fan.
Baseball media me says he should have 70 every year. I would expect 25 to 30. Every single power hitter, I would expect any major power hitter to have 25 to 30 home runs a year. That's for every power hitter. That's the expectation. Whether they exceed it or not, whatever. You have to set those numbers lower. Pitchers are getting better. Top pitchers are getting better. Top pitchers now are better than top pitchers have ever been. So it's going to be harder to hit those home runs.
If you just want to just look at, this is how stupid this conversation is. It's entertaining, but it's stupid. Just look at the beginning part of the year. Like, if you look at Fernando's numbers and you compare them to Shohei Ohtani's numbers, they're relatively the same. The only difference is Ohtani's got 6 home runs.
We know Jake is hitting 140. We know, guys.
We're not talking about Jake right now.
No, I know.
I understand what the
I'm
chat's saying.
seeing it in the chat. It's like, guys, Cole Brooks, Lindor is on the IL. You can't trade for people on the IL, and he's going to be on the IL with a hamstring strain for a while. You know what else Lindor's not doing? He's also not hitting.
Is Pete Alonso hitting?
No.
If you just look at the comparison between Ohtani and Fernando, Ohtani's hitting 240, Fernando's hitting 252. Ohtani's on base percentage is 382, Fernando's 324. His slugging is obviously way higher, 432 to Fernando's 301, which leads to his OPS being higher. Ohtani's got 2 more doubles than Fernando. Fernando's got a triple that Ohtani does not have. And, of course, Ohtani has 6 home runs. Do you know how many RBIs Ohtani has compared to Fernando?
No.
He has 1 more. Fernando has 9 stolen bases. Ohtani has 4. I would consider those numbers, aside from, again, the home run numbers is one thing. It's very comparable. This comes down to he hasn't hit the ball over the fence. And that's why people are upset. But that's not the answer you get from people, because honestly, if your only argument against a player is the fact that he hasn't put a ball over the fence, it doesn't really sound as threatening as it's like, oh, this, and that. I get that. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. It's got to Steve and Poway. Steve, what's going on?
Hey, anyway, obviously I'm listening to some of your stuff here. My question to you is, do you actually watch the games?
Yes.
Because I'm sometimes I just wonder what you guys are actually watching, because here's the deal. I'm going to talk about the Padre killer, but before I do that, I want to talk about Fernando. Have you not noticed how brutally ugly his at-bats look, especially when he strikes out? That's where the concern is. The concern is not all these numbers that you throw out. The concern is I've never seen him look so clueless at the plate. He swings the balls that are 2 feet outside and he'll go 1, 2, 3, and nothing will even be close to the strike zone. So that's where my concern is. It's like, it seems like he's lost his focus or concentration or something, because something's different. Now let's go to the Padre killer last night, Arise, who literally single-handedly beat the Padres. Sacrifice bunt, that run came in.
Did he hit that home run, or did I thought Casey Schmidt hit the home run yesterday? You know what? No wonder. I was watching the wrong game. My apologies.
Okay, 2 hits down the line, scored twice, made 4 great plays at second base, and we wonder, but we can't use him. He's only batting 309.
Well, let me ask you this, Steve. If you brought Arise back last year, you have the same offense that you would have last year. You wouldn't have made any other changes. It would have been the exact same. And this is an offense that you specifically said did not show up in October. So what kind of change would you have made if you brought back Luis Arise to this team?
You know what? We basically have the same team, except for one. Here's what's funny. This is where I think your argument's so wrong. So let's take the best hitter on the team and get rid of him for next year, because that's why we didn't win the World Series, because the best hitter on the team couldn't hit. Here's the bottom line. I've been watching him for 50 years. We haven't won a World Series in 50 years because maybe they just make bad decisions sometimes. And the fact is, what happened last night was a perfect example of what I was talking about, where he did more in one offensive game than Cronenworth's done this season. for the team, for a team. So that's one game. I get it, but I just thought it was kind of funny to watch that last night.
Well, you can go watch the Giants with Luis Ariz then. I mean, I would rather have Miguel Andujar for $4 million that provides the same average right now and higher OPS and higher slugging numbers than Luis Ariz. You weren't going to get rid of Jake Cronenworth because they signed him to a long-term deal for $15 million or whatever he got. I don't need singles out of Luis Ariz. I don't. I really don't. For $5 million, maybe. For $15 million, no. If you want to make the argument that they made a mistake giving Jake Cronenworth money, sure. But the way the team is constructed, you couldn't bring Luis Ariz back last year or for this year. Not for the money he's asking for. Because he gets singles? Wow, he beat the Padres yesterday. Ask Giants fans what they think about Luis Ariz and what they think about their team right now. I honestly think it's a good question. Frank, if you said straight up to a Giants fan, where did Frank go? Are you okay down there? Did you fall?
No, I needed a place to. I needed a place to relax.
Oh man, I will say this: if you were to ask a Giants fan, I will trade you my lineup for yours straight up. What do you think they would say?
Please,
for
the
and
love of
thank
God,
you.
give me this lineup.
Everybody likes watching DSG freak out, right? He's got a little dude up there in San Francisco that like basically does DSG for the Giants. I've watched him rant about Luis Ariz 15 times this season about how terrible he is. Oh man. Oh, I just can't believe. Unbelievable. Like, do you guys watch the games? No, I've actually never watched a Padre game in my life. Like I've ever watched a Padre game in my life.
I love how, and that's part of the reason why I'm down here just chilling out. I love how I really envy how someone could be so confidently incorrect. And so smug about it too.
I knew he was. I couldn't wait for Steve's phone call today because I watched the game yesterday, and of course, Luis Ariz single-handedly beat the Padres. I thought Casey Schmidt hit a home run yesterday. My apologies.
By the way,
my apologies. I thought he hit a home run yesterday.
Luis Ariz, by the way, did have 2 RBIs. Had those been the only 2 runs that had scored, we'd still be playing right now because Ramón Laureano would have tied the game in the 9th inning. So no.
So I guess
Luis Ariz did not single-handedly
Casey Schmidt
beat the Padres last night.
It only happens. But I knew when I saw Stephen Poway's number pop up as soon as the show started. And he's been waiting on hold to 11:30 something that he was going to pop off about Luis Ariz. Okay, go for it, man. We'll see. Maybe the Giants will make the playoffs with Luis Ariz and the Padres won't. You can tell me I'm wrong, and that's fine. And you'll watch your team not play in October. I don't know I don't know how much better that makes you feel.
This radio station didn't want to give Luis his shot at second base last year. At least admit that.
Sure.
Was the chat that we just had.
Oh my God. We have a new bit that we want to do, and today might be the day that we get to do it. We got to go to break. We're way over break today. I am enjoying this. This is so much fun. Sports Thread when we come back. First round of the NBA playoffs, absolute chaos. You had injuries, you had comebacks, you had wild Game 7 finishes everywhere. And teams like the Timberwolves and the Lakers advanced without their top scorers. Pistons and 76ers both came back from 3-1 down, and role players became series heroes overnight. And that's the biggest takeaway. Depth wins in today's NBA playoffs. Bench players aren't just supporting stars anymore. They're deciding who survives. Meanwhile, teams like Oklahoma City and San Antonio proving that defense and shooting can overwhelm anyone, while the Knicks are showing that elite defense still travels deep into May. So heading into round 2, it's not just about who has the best superstar. It's about who has enough depth and toughness to survive
the chaos. First round, the NBA playoffs for 2026 was nothing short of chaos. We saw injuries reshape series. We saw massive comebacks, multiple game sevens that went right down to the wire. Teams like Minnesota and the Lakers advanced despite losing their top scorers. Meanwhile, Pistons and Sixers both clawed back from 3-1 deficits, showing just how unpredictable this postseason has been. And even teams like Toronto managed to extend their season with a buzzer-beating drama before eventually falling. Now there's barely any time to breathe. Second round is already underway. Big story, depth wins in the playoffs. If there's one clear takeaway from the first round, Frank, depth matters more than ever.
Yeah, in past eras, playoff basketball tightened rotations and leaned heavily on stars. But this year, injuries have flipped that idea completely upside down. Minnesota has gotten huge production from its bench, losing Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo. The Lakers survived Houston thanks to unexpected scoring bursts from role players. Even San Antonio leaned on rookie contributors when Victor Wembanyama missed time. These aren't just, that's a nice story. They are series-defining performances, and that trend is likely to continue as the playoffs get more physical and more demanding. You know what else could really, get a team ready to go in a playoff situation like this?
What?
Not sitting your star players every other day for load management. Maybe that might get them amped up and ready to go and more in shape for the playoffs.
Let's talk about the Western Conference out west. Two teams stand out for very different reasons. Spurs are shooting the ball at an elite level, nearly 42% from three in the first round. That kind of spacing combined with Victor Wembanyama's inside presence makes them one of the toughest offensive puzzles in the league. Meanwhile, Oklahoma City just became the most complete team left. I mean, with SGA still playing at an MVP level and the Thunder's depth, it has allowed them to absorb injuries without missing a beat. Even when their roster shifts, their style doesn't change, and that's dangerous in the playoffs. You could see a collision course of OKC and San Antonio. But, Frank, what do you got for us in the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, the Eastern Conference, the New York Knickerbockers are proving that they are more than just a scoring team. Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns get most of the attention, but New York's defense has been elite. They've shut down Atlanta's top scorers and consistently held them under 100 points late in the series. That defensive identity is what makes them dangerous moving forward, especially against elite offenses like Philadelphia's Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey's combo. The question is now, will that defense hold up as the competition gets stronger? And you had a big showing in the final game of that Knicks Hawks series, a 50-point gap, and that was even at halftime. They had that gap as well. So big scoring outbursts from the Knicks, and that defense really locking opponents down.
Back to the Western Conference, Nuggets problem and league-wide trend. Then there's Denver and a growing concern. Nuggets have one of the best offensive cores in the league with Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, but their scoring efficiency has dropped in multiple recent playoff runs, and that's becoming a pattern, not a fluke. And across the league, we're seeing something unusual. Scoring is down significantly in the playoffs despite record-breaking offense in the regular season. Tells us one thing, defense is still very much alive in today's NBA. Or in the playoffs, they finally start trying to stop people. And so, you don't score as much, or the regular season, it's just like a scoring spree and nobody ever plays.
I think that's the one.
I think that's the one,
that's
too.
It.
This is why the NBA gets made fun of all the time for stuff like that. So, as we head into the second round, the question becomes simple. Who can survive the second round? Because this postseason is no longer just about star power. We got depth, defense, adaptability. The team still standing. OKC, San Antonio, New York, Minnesota, Cleveland aren't just talented, but they're built to withstand the chaos. And after everything we saw in round one thing is clear. This is not a normal playoff run. This thing is wide open. There's still time to cheer on the Padres at Petco Park, America's #1 ballpark. On Thursday, May 7th at 7:10, Padres host the Cardinals. First 40,000 fans in attendance will receive a flame-throwing Mason Miller bobblehead presented by Cox. Whether he's shutting down batters or throwing an immaculate inning,
Miller always brings the heat with his fastballs. Don't wait to secure your tickets. Visit Padres.com/tickets. I was told that whoever the color analyst is for the Padres, because I don't watch the Padres games. I think he said, I think his name's like Mark or something. He said that
no, his name is Mud.
Oh, it's Mud? Who names a kid? That's his name?
Yeah.
You call him that?
Yep. Mudcat.
Surper, you call him that? Yeah, he said that this is what people told me because I've never watched the Padres. That the flame off the ball looks like beef jerky. That's what it was. I am laughing. It's great. Some of the comments in the YouTube chat. It's like, hey, there's a Padre game tonight, 6:45. If you want to tune in, you can listen on the radio. It's like, by the way, we're not on channel 4 anymore. Oh, my mistake. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. I missed a heck of a game out of Luis Ariz yesterday pitching. Guy was unbelievable shutting down the Padres offense. And he hit the bomb, too, off Randy Vasquez. Crazy. All right. We ready for this? Let's get to Brian and Santee. Brian, what's going on, brother? Try it again.
You hear me?
Got you.
So I just wanted to say that we just don't hit the panic button. Us as fans, I know it's stressful with the losses and everything, but we got to look at the long term. It's a 162 game season, and Tatis, he's hitting the ball hard, and he's actually getting hits, and it's not his average is not anywhere close to Cronenworth's average. So I'd rather just have him continue what he's doing. Don't overdo anything where he gets hurt by over trying to hit all these home runs because us fans are pressuring him. And I'd rather everything will be clicked and have a healthy Tatis in the postseason than have him get hurt now trying to overdo home runs. And I know that's not his mindset. His mindset is just get on base and hit the ball, and eventually they'll come. Also, we got to look at it the big way. You got to win series. Right now we're 1-3 with the Giants. If we win the next two, we become 3-3, and we still have another 7 games with them. And if we just win the series, it's a long season ahead of us.
Well said, Brian. Well said. I believe in that right there. The fact of the matter is, as you said, it's a 162 game season. There's going to be times where you can overly criticize the team for what they have done. Today is not one of those days. Not after they won 8 straight games before this. Not after that. This is the balance of the season, okay? It's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs. You can't view it like a football season. It's just going to be too much. And that's the thing.
It's going to be?
Yeah. You can't do it like a football season.
I think you mean it already is.
Well, because people like to on fake names. Like, this guy's got a fake name in the YouTube chat. It's like, never criticizes the team. It's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, what do you want to say? If you're just here's does anybody do I got to bring back what a windsock is? Don't be a windsock. That's like blowing whatever which way the direction goes. You don't have an opinion on anything. You're just like always going like, when times are good, everything's great. When times are bad, everything sucks. That's not the case. Have a take. Have an opinion. Put yourself in the middle. Understand it's not always as good as you think. It's not as always as bad as you think. We give you the reasons why not to be upset, not to worry. People are worried about Fernando. I'm not worried about Fernando at all. Yeah, I know his at-bats haven't been great. I understand that he doesn't look great in the box. I don't know why. Maybe because he hasn't hit a home run yet, and he's trying to affect his swing. He's trying to work on his swing. He's not getting the results. I don't know, Frank. That could be kind of frustrating. Can it not?
Yeah, a little bit, eh?
It could be a little frustrating, I would say.
Can we get to this next caller just get rid of it, Just like...
No, he might come in. He might... we got other guys that were in front of him.
No.
I'm just saying, there's times where you're like, what is this team doing from a team perspective? You have to you have to take a step back a bit and just take a deep breath and realize that there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going on in the baseball season. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Gary, in the UTC area, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Gary?
Hey, guys. Good to hear you. I've been kind of chuckling listening to some of the stories and the opinions and whatnot. But first off, I just would like to say I'm a long-time blood donor, almost 15 gallons my next donation. So I always love to do that sort of thing. When it comes to the team and all of that, they're going to be fine. But what I thought was very interesting that one day, I think it was last week, he did a deep dive into Jake's swing and what it looked like. And from what I was seeing and from what you were saying and what the stats were saying, it looked to be extremely spot on. Now, what I'm wondering is did anyone ever notice the same thing or possibly mention the same thing to Fernando? Because he goes by, I hear he goes a lot by how he feels at the plate. Does he look at any old film of him saying when he had the better seasons, what his swing was like? Do you think his dad gets on there or anything like that? They're major league players, not me, but I was just curious if anyone did a dive like you guys did, which was interesting, by the way.
Oh, for them, I'm sure they get way more information than we do. Gary, appreciate the phone call. They get way more information than we do. We just have the information that is public, which is on Baseball Savant and everything like that. His metrics look like he is swinging more level than swinging at the his attack angle that he had when he was putting up big numbers. Now, he's hitting the ball hard. That's the only thing you would have to be worried about. He's trying to figure out the swing that he feels comfortable with that also results in putting the ball over the fence. That doesn't happen overnight. And you understand, like anybody that watches the Padres understands that Fernando is a tinkerer. So I've been told. Apparently I don't watch. He's a tinkerer.
I wouldn't know either.
He tinkers all the time. He's trying to get the right feel and the right approach. He's probably being told a lot of this information. I don't know. I haven't asked Steven Souza Jr. myself. And even if I did, he's probably not going to tell me the exact details of what Fernando is working on.
Not that you would understand what he's saying anyway, because you don't watch baseball. So
also true. So it takes time. He's trying to find the feel, and he's trying to work on the swing. Do you not think he's irritated with the fact that he doesn't have a home run? You don't think that might add to more of the pressure that he puts on himself or the added stress? Oh, no, because he doesn't care now, right? That's what else we've said. I can't even read some of the comments that are left.
If Kevin Acee or Marty Caswell or AJ Cassavell or Dennis Lane could just ask him if he's frustrated that he hasn't hit a home run yet, maybe you can listen to his answer and still not believe him because, what you think is the most important thing and not what actually is going on matters. So to any of the guys who are actually there that actually watch baseball, if you guys could just ask him real quick, are you upset that you haven't hit a home run yet? Are you annoyed? Are you frustrated? Are you raising your voice at me?
We should have played that when Stephen Poway called in.
I was too bum-fuzzled.
Stephen Poway folded Marchese like a lawn chair.
Because there comes a point in every conversation is, what do you say to that? What do you say when someone is being so irrational?
You can't.
What do you say to that?
But that's the thing. Here's the deal. This is where your opinions are at, right? It's either Fernando is toast or he's going to figure it out. We're on the side of he's going to figure it out, and we lay out all these reasons why we think he's going to figure it out. And the response from the other side is always like,
nuh-uh.
Those don't mean anything. it's just, okay, when your entire argument against what the opposing argument is that doesn't matter, we're wasting our time here. New lunchtime hour. Derek, Troop, Josh, Steve, we'll get to you when we come back.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New Lunchtime Hour of the Fan is brought to you by the Craft Taco. Bold flavors, 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum.
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where are the damn tacos at?
Where are the tacos at? Cinco de Mayo, man. Wonder if they have any taco deals today. Maybe they do.
Where was our graphic at there for a second?
I don't know. They got happy hour at the Craft Taco, by the way. You know about happy hour Craft Taco?
We're going to need it today.
Oh, my God. Seriously. This is like this is a long week for me this week. Very long week. I got spring football now in the mornings. Played 3 softball games last night. It's all fun stuff. I don't care. I got USD baseball tonight. Got a lot of stuff going on. Anyway, happy hour Craft Taco. Monday all day. How about that? All day happy hour on Mondays at the Craft Taco. Why didn't they tell us to talk about that? I know today's Tuesday. Put your hand down. I'm getting there. Tuesday and Sunday, 3 p.m. to close. Wow. How about that? Okay, Eddie. Don't let Eddie cook. Yes.
That's more than 1 hour.
That's happy hours for sure. Well, all day on Monday is definitely more than just 1 hour. That's happy day. Happy day at Craft Taco on Mondays.
They're yours and mine.
Tuesdays and Sundays, 3 to close. Wednesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. happy hours. Are you kidding me? Also not an hour. Have you ever seen a happy hour just 1 hour? Aside from Gwen and Chris, who have a happy hour sponsorship that's literally just 1 hour? I think that's it.
Our lunchtime hour sponsor. That's
Correct.
a happy hour. That's only 1 hour.
It is. We're happy here in the lunchtime hour. Half off starters at Craft Taco during happy hour. $5 drafts, $4 canned kombuchas, $4 bottled beer, $2 canned Tecate. Discount not valid for takeout orders, but they have happy hour today, 3 to close. Craft Taco, Sorrento Valley. Hit them up. Tell them I sent you. Tell Eddie I said what's up.
Tell Eddie I sent you. It doesn't change the deal. Just nice to let him know.
Yeah. I want to know how Eddie's doing. We haven't heard from Eddie in a while. Help a brother out. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Back to the phone calls. Let's get out to Steve in Claremont. Steve, what's going on, brother?
Hey, not much. I just was thinking about the happy thing, and since they open at 11 and they end up 9, then at the end of the day, they should call it a happy ending, right? I mean, but anyway, just kidding. But so I was going back to the what do you say to Stephen Poway, right? I mean, it's like ask him, when the last time a team has won 162 games in the season, right? I mean, it's a game of ups and downs, right? So there's going to be ups and downs. You'll probably, if you got 110 wins, you're still at 66%, right? Or somewhere around there. And then when was the last time players got up the bat and hit every freaking ball that he's seen, right? Never happens, right? So you hit 333, 1 out of 3 or whatever, or 2 out of 4 is 500. You don't see that. You don't see a 500 at the end of the season, right? So got to shut, I can't criticize the guy's passion and, dedication to the team, but he's got to be realistic, right?
I agree, Steve. It's a long season. You want at the end of the year, want to say he had a crap year? Sure, we'll talk about that. I'm not ready to quit on a player 34 games into the season. I think that'd be kind of ludicrous at this point in time.
By the way,
He draws the foul.
It's Tecate, not Tecate.
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 Whatever.
Don't worry, Chad. I got him.
Yeah, nice. Somebody tell Frank how to pronounce Marquez.
Pedro already did that.
He did. He did already do that. All right. It's about that time. Derek LeMace's turn. Derek, what's going on, man? You missed a lot of fireworks this morning.
Yeah, what's going on, brother? Hey, no, I'm listening to you up in Salem, Oregon. Beautiful day, about 63 degrees. We're going to have a high of 70. Hey, the sky's falling. I'm in major panic mode because we're coming down the stretch. It's late September. Oh no, wait a minute. It's May 5th, and 2 of our best pitchers are on the shelf still. So I think we're going to be doing just fine. Guys are winning enough, so let's dial back on the panic mode. I agree with you guys. Hey, Frank, I got something for you today, if you can believe that. And if you and I keep talking as often as we are, Frank, people might start calling us friends.
Yeah, I'm going to like you less.
Hey, so, Frank, I wanted to cheer you up a little bit today and talk about a New York Met great. So you got Gil Hodges. I mean, just an amazing, great Met player. Matter of fact, if my memory serves me correct, or if I read on Google, he hit the franchise's first home run in 1962. Hodges was also the manager of the 1969 Miracle Mets. Tragically died in 1972 of a heart attack at the age of 47. And his number was retired the next year in 1973. And my memory is a little cloudy right now. What number did Gil Hodges wear, Frank?
Remember that he hit the first home run in the franchise history of the Mets, but you don't remember his number?
Yeah, it's missing him right now.
He number 14, sir.
I know I read it, but it's escaped me. What was that number again?
14.
Wow, 14. That is truly amazing. I think you can finish the sentence for me, Frank. Arson Fudge so far this year has blank home runs.
That would be 14.
Wow. It's amazing that I keep coming up with these coincidences. You guys have a great day. I'm going to go out and enjoy the day with Loki, the Rhodesian Ridgeback. And like I always tell you, Frank, I'm confident we'll be talking very, very soon. Later, guys.
Again, you will not.
I was holding in the laughter as much as possible. The buildup from Derek every time, I just got let him cook. I got to hear what it's amazing what he comes up with. This is a heck of a pace.
Again, you will not get me to make fun of anything Yankees from yesterday. Period.
It's today, though.
And I know. You saw how much what happened yesterday meant. You saw, what's his name? Les from the White Sox. We tried to get him on the show. The broadcaster for the White Sox.
Oh, yeah.
He gave a moonshot from Moon call yesterday.
Well done.
Keith Rad did a Mets win yesterday in honor. And John Sterling, Michael Kay, who was John Sterling's broadcast partner for 10 years, did John Sterling's home run call for Aaron Judge on that home run. And then later in the broadcast, they paired it with John Sterling's call and played it together. So you will not get me to make fun of anything Yankees from yesterday. Will not do it.
I love those tributes. It's always great.
That was
always good.
Yesterday was perfect. The video that the Yankees did yesterday for John Sterling was perfect as well. They didn't do like a bunch of people talking about him. They just let the home run calls fly. And for as dumb as those were at the time, they're amazing now, looking back on it.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's go out to our friend out in Arizona. Dan in Arizona, you're the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Dan?
Well, a couple of points. The Padres' win percentage right now is .588. If you take that off 162 games, that's 95 wins. Weren't some people saying that maybe they would win only 86 games for the whole season? So I think at this point they're doing quite well. So let's not go too crazy. But I have 2 points. Why is Luis Campusano not playing 5 days a week? Freddie Fermin, I mean, he's a nice guy and all that, good catcher. He can't hit the ball. I mean, Luis Campusano was raking. Also, I think it might be time for Cronenworth to have a phantom injury and go on the IL, and let's bring up Song and see what he can do. Your thoughts, please.
I mean, there were some rumors about maybe Song coming up today, potentially. We will not know anything until probably when the clubhouse is opened or until the Padres announce some news. I will say this, from Jesse Agler's interview on Bennett Woods, it sounds like there's some changes potentially happening. Now, that could be roster moves. That could be lineup changes. It sounded like Yuki Matsui was going to get added to this roster. Obviously, his rehab assignment is now done. So there's some of that being added to this mix. We're going to talk about some of these potential changes that the Padres can make to adjust their first inning problems. And again, we're going to reset that later on in this hour. But I think there's something they're going to be moving some things around because, as we've mentioned before, I think underlying conditions specifically for Fernando are not something to really worry about. At the same time, you cannot continue to say, as an organization, we're eventually going to get out of this, because that's going to start to fall on deaf ears. You're about to be, the little kid that cried wolf. So they're obviously going to start changing some things up, I think. And we'll have some answers and some of our ideas, if you will, coming up a little bit later. We appreciate the phone call, Dan. Let's get out to Dexter in Spring Valley. Dexter, I don't know, man. I know you have the championship right now of the dad jokes that get a foul, but Stephen Claremont, he really set the bar high today. Dexter, what do you got for us?
Well, once again, the Draymond Green of fouls. I will say this. I think I figured out what's ailing the Padres.
All right.
And it ties into a phone call from middle of last month that I made. And it's this. I think Joe Boo is angry. And Joe Boo needs attention. And I think that the team needs to do something to appease Joe Boo. And once they do that, Joe Boo will smile upon them again, and they will start to win. And that's all I got to say about that. And of course, the legendary Pedro Serrano. So there you go, gentlemen.
Thank you, Dexter. I guess they must have helped Joe Boo out on that 8-game winning streak that they had. Potentially, Frank. Do you think that was the case?
Probably, yeah.
Joe Boo.
I didn't think the rum account would dry up this early in the season.
Somebody stole Joe Boo's rum. Bleep you, Joe Boo, and then he got hit with the bat. Okay, don't steal Joe Boo's rum. Very, very bad.
I didn't think that bank account would be at zero this early in the season.
Very, very bad when you steal Joe Boo's rum. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 if you want to join the show today. We have a little bit of time here. Let's kind of reset some of the offensive stuff. And I not with Fernando. I think Fernando's working on what he's working on. And I'm not worried about Fernando because as much as everybody suggests he needs to hit 42 home runs for him to justify the contract, I think that's kind of lunacy. He averages 20 home runs a year. Okay. The only year he didn't hit 20 home runs, at least 20 home runs, was 2020. He played in 59 games. He hit 17. 22 in 2019 and 84 games. 17 in 59 games in 2020. He had the 42 home runs that he hit in 2021 that everybody wants to see all the time. He hit 25 in 2023. He hit 21 in 2024. He hit 25 in 2025. Okay. That sounds like he's kind of hitting about 20-something home runs a year. Now, it gets skewed with the 42. If you look at his average over 162 games, he's averaging 35 home runs over 162 games. He has not come close to playing 162 games at all in his career. Last year was the most games he had ever played in a season. He played 155. He had a 5.9 WAR with an 814 OPS. He hit 25 homers last year. That is more of a evaluation for the end of the season. Let's get to the offense as a whole. It's not great, okay? We talked about this. Ugh.
Bless you.
Thank you. Okay. Padres lost yesterday 3-2 in San Francisco. Early offense, non-existent. Late offense, too little, too late. We've seen that a lot this year. First 6 innings versus starters. The Padres as a whole, worst in Major League Baseball in weighted runs created plus. 17% below league average. Bottom tier in average, on base, and slugging. They're 7th inning and beyond. They're plus 20% above league average. There's something about the fact that they cannot hit starting pitching. Or maybe it's the approach early in contests. I mean, you never see a split that crazy. And the other thing, too, and I saw this split that Kevin Acee put in his newsletter, and it jumps off the page. When the Padres against starting pitching are hitting 211 with a 608 OPS, first bullpen arms, 255 with a 771 OPS. That is the exact flip of what you see in Major League Baseball. The bullpen guys are supposed to be more difficult to hit. You only see them once, and they're throwing over 100 miles an hour. It's like the exact opposite for the Pods. Now, they need to find a way to get better offensively early. Jackson Merrill showed that a little bit. Now, Jackson Merrill had been working on being more patient at the plate. Jackson Merrill has been more patient at the plate. Kevin Acee talked about this in his newsletter. He's been more selective. He's gotten better results. He's 5 for 15 in his last 4 games, and his chase rate has dropped from 38% to 23%. Stop chasing early, force starters into the zone, create damage opportunities earlier. What did he do last night? He hit a home run in the first inning. He did exactly what you would want him to do. 436 feet. By the way, at Oracle Park is insane.
A Jacksonian blast, as Jesse Ackler put it.
We love the tributes. We love the tributes on this show. Ends a 13-game extra base hit drought. After that, 2 hits the rest of the game, completely shut down by a rookie in Trevor, Norm, Ronald, insert McDonald here. Offensive disconnect, okay? The shocking part is the best hitters by production this year. Can you name them for me? That's a fun game. Maybe the 3 most productive hitters on the Padres so far this year.
Andujar, Laureano, and Bogart?
Andujar, no. The other 2 are like bench pieces.
Oh.
Andujar, Campusano, and France.
Yeah.
Combined salary, $4 million. Meanwhile, Fernando's struggling badly. Manny Machado just above average. Xander's solid, but not at an elite level. Jake Cronenworth, 468 OPS. I didn't even know it got that low.
All right. Forget the metrics now. New tactic for Steven Souza Jr.
Here we go.
Everyone who's not hitting, get the ball in a room. No more analytics. Hey, just hit the ball, forehead. End of meeting.
We'll see how that works for you. All right. Tatis is obviously the story, though. We've talked about him for most of the show. We've argued about him for most of the show. I think you have to have realistic expectations on Fernando Tatis, and then you can evaluate whether or not you should be upset with how he has started the season or not. In 143 plate appearances, he doesn't have a home run. That's the career worst drought of it. Career worst drought. He's never gone this long without a home run. Struck out 3 times yesterday. Craig Stammen said he's trying new things, maybe too many. I think that's part of the problem. Over-adjusting, searching instead of reacting, out of rhythm. He just basically needs to go out there and just be an athlete. Go be him. He's working on trying to get that feel back, according to Craig Stammen. But the approach is definitely interesting because they keep saying we'll figure it out. Eventually it'll click. But the word of the night last night was eventually. Here are some of the things that slow down this Padres offense, and here are some of the adjustments Frank and I think the Padres should make offensively. We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing Up Sports Station 97 through the Fan.
College sports just took a massive step into the world of private money, and it could change everything. The Big 12 Conference just became the first major conference to partner with a private equity firm, teaming up with Redbird Capital on a 5-year deal. They get immediate cash, and schools can access up to $30 million each in funding, which sounds great on paper, right? Here's the catch. That money comes with high interest rates, so schools are essentially betting on their future revenue to pay it back. And why now? Well, because college athletics is getting more expensive than ever. NIL deals, paying players, rising costs, it's all starting to add up. And this might just be the beginning. If this works, expect other conferences to follow. If it doesn't, schools could be dealing with serious financial consequences. So the question is simple. Is private equity saving college sports, or turning it into a business first and a game second? We've got a major shift in the business of college sports, and this one could have long-term implications for every conference in the country, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. The Big 12 Conference has officially approved a 5-year partnership with Redbird Capital Partners, becoming the first major college conference to strike a league-wide private capital deal. Now, let that sink in for a second. This is a private equity firm entering college sports at the conference level. We talked about it a while ago with Cal when they did their private equity thing. Now this is the full conference that is getting in on this deal.
Yeah, Utah had the private equity deal.
Yes,
Cal
Utah
did the changing
the layoffs,
of the
yes.
of the department and outsourcing their communication and media department.
My mistake. Yeah.
Here's how this works. Redbird is providing the conference with an immediate $12.5 million capital infusion, while also helping the league grow commercial opportunities, things like media rights, sponsorships, and overall brand value. The bigger headline might be this, though. Each of the Big 12 16 schools will have access up to $30 million in credit. But here's the catch. That money comes with double-digit interest rates, meaning schools that take it on are betting heavily on future revenue growth to pay it back. And that tells you everything you need to know about where college athletics is right now. Programs are looking for ways to keep up financially, especially as they now face the reality of paying athletes directly on top of rising costs across the board. This move also positions the Big 12 to stay competitive with powerhouse conferences like the Big 10 and the SEC, which have dominated both football and basketball championships recently. But here's another interesting layer. Redbird is a major stakeholder in Paramount Global, which owns CBS and is pursuing TNT, meaning this partnership could also influence future TV deals when the Big 12's current media rights agreement expires in 2031. So this isn't just some short-term cash. It's long-term positioning in media rights landscape, and the Big 12 isn't alone in exploring these options. Schools like the University of Utah have already dipped into private equity like we talked about, while other major conferences have at least considered similar deals. And the reason is simple. College sports is becoming high-stakes financial arms race, and private capital might be the next major weapon to this conversation. Now, Frank, as somebody that is a Big 12 fan, because of the fact that my college is in the Big 12, I find this to be very interesting. I have yet to receive any type of email as a season ticket holder about TCU accepting this $30 million. My question here is, and this is just for discussion, like, is it better to go with the private equity where you have to pay interest back? And I'm sure there's a bunch of rules, but these colleges have massive endowments of billions of dollars. Wouldn't it be better for them to just pull from some of these endowments to do the money, to get money to players or to other funding instead of going with private equity? Like, I get the need the money now, but the payback seems a little rough.
I would not touch this $30 million with a 10-foot pole. I understand the need. If you're a bottom feeder in the conference, you're trying to get back on track with everybody else. If that doesn't work, then you've put yourself in an even deeper hole than what you were already in. If you're at the top, if you're at the upper echelon of the conference, you're trying to get that one step ahead to break away and get closer towards the Big 10 and the SEC schools that have been dominating college athletics here recently. So I understand why you would do it each way. It's just, for me, the risk isn't worth it to me, because you're either going to get a national championship, or you're at least going to put yourself in that conversation for a short period of time, or you're going to completely financially ruin your school.
I think this is, from a Big 12 conference perspective, I understand why they made this move, because they need to compete with, with the SEC and the Big 10. Now, the Big 12 making this deal and then letting the schools decide, I think, is the best case, best foot forward, because the Big 12 as a conference, and the powers to be, their job is to try to make it.
August, join us on the SDCC fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's a better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Padres said they're going to make some adjustments. Maybe it's with their lineup. Maybe it's some roster shakeup. Who knows? We will see later on this afternoon, potentially. Frank and I have some ideas to change up the lineup a little bit, maybe change the approach to improve the offensive numbers. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. But first, let's get back to the phone calls. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to David in San Diego. David, what's going on, man?
Hey, can you hear me?
I got you.
Hello, can you hear me?
I do.
Hi, can you hear me?
You can only ask that 3 times. I'll go once, fine. Second time, sure. Third time, foul.
He draws the foul.
Was he raising his voice at me?
Are you raising your voice at me?
Crazy. All right. Let's get to some of these offensive issues and some of the solutions. So, the approach problem that they potentially have. Now, this was laid out by Dennis Lin and by Kevin Acee on some of the questions that were asked to Craig Stammen yesterday. Frank, I do want to play that clip. I will slowly set it up so you can get it ready to go. But this is the clip where Craig Stammen last night was asked about the slow start for the offense. It's a main portion of the conversation that Craig Stammen had, or should I say that was talked about in Dennis Lin's article today in The Athletic. Here's Craig Stammen on the slow start of the offense.
We haven't really broken through on offense. We've had a couple games where we looked really good, but for the most part, we've grinded out some games and got some wins. So, maybe that's the formula, to see how I grind it out and, play those close games like Padres are accustomed to. But I think eventually, we're going to, if we want to be who we want to be, and not just a good team, but a great team, we've got to be able to handle pitchers like that and figure out a way to put a few more runs on the board.
Yes, they do. And the pitchers like that are the pitchers that are sinker-slider combo pitchers. That has been a massive problem for the San Diego Padres. They have had issues with starting pitchers. They have had issues with starting pitchers that throw the sinker-slider combo. They get a lot of ground balls. They get a lot of weak contact. Early innings, they get nothing. They have struggled to lift or damage low zone pitches. And teams are attacking the Padres with sinker-heavy starters and going, let the Padres get themselves out. And the Padres have gotten themselves out. The other portion of this, of course, when talking about the Padres and their offense, alludes to a lot of the other numbers that we have seen, but the approach problem of we'll figure it out, eventually it'll click, eventually. And why this matters long term, I mean, in 2024 and 2025, they had elite bullpens and the offense disappeared. That sounds a lot like what's going on right now. The pitching has definitely carried them to this point, and the offense has stalled against good arms. They have not been able to attack good arms. Let's go back to the sinker ball pitching. McDonald, who is a rookie last night, dominates with a sinker-slider combo. They got Logan Webb tonight. He's an elite sinker baller. Keep the ball low. Padres will get themselves out. Field hitters are struggling. Craig Stammen talked about Fernando last night. He said he's a feel hitter, rhythm and feel hitter. He's got to feel the right mechanics. And then Craig Stammen alluded to the fact that he was that on the mound. I will buy that. I will believe that. Sometimes you don't think your mechanics feel right. You do not play right. Craig Stammen did talk about that. I do want to play that again unless you're mixing something down.
I'm just saving something here.
Here's what Craig Stammen said about Fernando. He talks about that feel.
He's working in the cage every day. It's not for lack of effort. He's trying new things and trying things to unlock himself. And I think sometimes he feels really close, and then it just kind of turns a little bit the other way, face some tough pitching, and he's not able to, stay on that hot streak. So we'll keep working. He's going to keep working every day. Trust that his ability is eventually going to come through, and he'll be just fine.
Is there ever awareness in this, maybe not just for him, just generally speaking, trying new things, trying too many new things?
Yeah, there's a possibility of that. Like he's somewhat of a tinkerer anyway with his stance. He's a feel type of player, and he wants to feel a certain way when he's in the box. And that's not just like you got to feel good to play good. He's looking for a feeling that puts him in a comfortable position to hit. And so, a lot of times with feel guys, they, go, there's some ups and downs with that. I was a feel pitcher. I felt that when I, felt my mechanics were really good, there was no way I could miss a spot. And then there was days where I was just a little off, and it felt like I was, throwing left-handed sometimes. So, I understand how that feels when you're a field player. And, I think eventually he's going to feel it and he's going to get hot.
Padres have a lot of early of the game problems. I think we've established that, right, Frank? If you want to establish the Padres' problems offensively, we've talked about the leadoff position multiple times. They're not very good at leading off innings. They're below league average in that. They're not great at leading off games. They're last place for that, and they're not good at batting in the number one spot. In fact, the leadoff man batting first throughout the entire game is the worst in Major League Baseball. That's a problem. They can't score early in games. That is also a problem. Starters have dominated the Padres. That's a problem. Where they have looked the best, second time through against a starter, first time seeing a bullpen arm, seventh inning or later. These are all like the clutch times where they have done a lot better. So I think it's a little bit of an approach standpoint. You don't have that early game identity. You don't have the table setting. You don't have pressure on starting pitching. They get to be efficient, stay in games longer. No consistent approach first time through the lineup. The weird reality of this, Padres are 20-14, above 500, despite bottom-tier offense early and stars underperforming. This is unsustainable success. They're playing better than what they're winning more games than they should. And I think you should trust the talent. I think it still will come, but they have to make some adjustments to make those things happen. I think, Frank, based on the problems that we have addressed with the Padres offense, are there any additional ones that you can think of off the top of your head?
Just overall lack of consistency, but other than that, no, I think we've hit most of them.
I think there's a couple solutions to these problems. I think the Padres are going to address those. We will address them when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, Setting Zimmerman Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. Round two of the NHL playoffs is where things stop being theoretical, if you will, and they start getting real. The Buffalo Sabres, Montreal Canadiens, are now in a battle between structure and speed. If Buffalo controls pace, they win. If Montreal turns it into chaos, everything flips. Carolina just exposed Philadelphia in game one with relentless pressure, and the Flyers already admitted they couldn't handle the speed. Out west, Vegas looks like a team hitting its stride again, while Anaheim brings the highest scoring offense left in the playoffs. And Colorado, still built like a powerhouse that can tilt a series in minutes. Round two isn't about who looks better on paper. It's about who can survive when their identity gets challenged shift after shift. Because in the NHL playoffs, comfort disappears fast. NHL playoffs are no longer about potential. This is now about reality. First round of the Stanley Cup playoffs has already reshaped expectations, eliminated doubts, and set up matchups where reputations are on the line. And now we've hit the point where one truth becomes clear. Regular season trends don't win series anymore. Execution does. So let's break down round two through the lens that actually matters: matchups, adjustments, and who can survive when their identity gets tested. Before we do that, Frank,
What was your biggest takeaway from round one?
I saw a lot of very, very good teams playing a lot of very, very good hockey. Carolina, still a perfect 5-0 after their game one win so far this postseason. Buffalo was able to handle Boston very, very nicely. What Montreal did in game 7 of their series last night, as we record this on Monday, winning that game against Tampa Bay with only 9 shots on net, they are going to be a very, very tough test for the Buffalo Sabres, which is where our first stop is going to be.
And let's talk about it, Frank. Buffalo Sabres, Montreal Canadiens, Eastern Conference Series. Buffalo Sabres finally look like a team that believes it belongs here. They just broke through with a strong first-round win driven by balanced scoring and elite goaltending from Alex Lyon, stepping into a true playoff role. But now comes a very difficult challenge, as Montreal, Frank, is very fast.
Yeah, the Canadiens are fast. They're structured and extremely dangerous in transition. Nick Suzuki and Lane Hudson have been driving play at an elite level. And this series is going to come down to one question. Can Buffalo puck move defense survive? Can Buffalo's puck moving defense, there are the words, survive Montreal's speed game? Because if it turns into a track meet, Montreal has the edge. But if Buffalo controls the tempo and protects their leads, their depth gives them a real advantage. It's not a comfortable series for either side, and especially talking about Montreal's ability to turn it into a track meet. They've got one of the fastest skaters to ever do it, Marty St. Louis, on their bench, so that he knows how to get it done as far as speed is concerned.
Eastern Conference semifinal on the other side, Flyers and Hurricanes. The Carolina Hurricanes just did what they always do. They suffocated a team out of rhythm in game one over the weekend, and that is the problem for the Philadelphia Flyers. Philadelphia already saw what Carolina does: relentless forecheck, puck pressure, and wave after wave of zone time. And in game one, they simply couldn't handle it. The Flyers admitted it themselves. They weren't fast enough, they weren't sharp enough, and didn't win enough battles. So the adjustment becomes simple. Can Philly slow the game down even slightly? And if not, Carolina dictates everything. And when Carolina dictates play, they usually dictate series outcomes too. Your thoughts on the Hurricanes and the Flyers this series?
Hurricanes are a better team. Flyers right now are in the position of playing with house money. They were not supposed to be this deep into their rebuild just yet. Coming off a big series win against the Pittsburgh Penguins, they're in over their depth right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they took a game, possibly 2, out of this series, but I would very much expect the Carolina Hurricanes to come through and win this series.
Let's move over to the Western Conference. The Western Conference semifinals. It's the Vegas Golden Knights and the Anaheim Ducks. The Golden Knights are starting to look like a team hitting playoff form at the right time. Again, they just went through a tough, structured first-round opponent and learned how to defend rush-heavy teams better as the series progressed against the Utah Mammoth. And now they get a very different challenge in the Anaheim Ducks, a team that leads the playoffs in scoring and thrives in high-event hockey. Anaheim is fast, skilled, dangerous off the rush, and incredibly young. But Vegas has the edge in something Anaheim hasn't proven yet, and that's playoff control in tight games. If the series opens up, Anaheim can absolutely steal games, but if it tightens late, Vegas has the edge in execution, structure, and closing ability. But the Ducks, well coached, and just beat a team that has represented the Western Conference in the Stanley Cup Finals the last 2 years as they outlasted Edmonton in 6 games. This is a Ducks team that's scary, Frank, because they're young and they don't know any better. And guess who's in charge? Joel Quenneville, who has done it before with the Blackhawks.
Yep, and has won Stanley Cups as well. So I give Vegas the edge. I think this is possibly going to be a 6, maybe even a 7-game series. Definitely 6. I think Vegas will come out on top of this one. But again, the Ducks, same way as the Flyers, they're a lot deeper into the playoffs for this stage of their rebuild. They are also playing with a lot of house money right now. And funny how you're playing with house money in Vegas now.
We'll see how that game goes. Game 1 will be on Monday. Avalanche and Wild already got started. 9-6 winner for Colorado. Goals were
12:39 on a Tuesday. We're trying to talk people off the ledge today with the pods, but, might have fallen on deaf ears a couple times.
We're getting put on the ledge is what's happening.
Yeah, 100%. Need a contestant for the Midday Sports Standoff, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We will do it if we can find a contestant, but we do want to answer some of the Padres questions. If you can take me down to sports trivia, you'd be qualified for a shot at a grand prize, a $500 gift card to Westgate, Las Vegas, the home of legendary Vegas fun, now offering the breakaway from fees package, including a $75 daily dining credit, 2-day spa passes, daily cabaret tickets, complimentary valet parking, and no resort fees. Special rates starting at $89 a night. Book now at westgatelasvegas.com. All right. We talked about some of the problems with the Padres. We had Dan in Arizona call in. I didn't forget about you, Dan. It's out there in Yuma. Season ticket holder for the Pods. Comes out to San Diego. Comes to some games. Didn't forget about you, Dan. He asked about the catching situation. We got people asking about the starting pitching. Here's what I think the adjustments are about to be. To me, I think they got to change the leadoff spot, right? We talked about this before. I'd like to see Jackson Merrill potentially in the leadoff spot. That again, just to quote, before people start freaking out, his base percentage is this. He's really good with leading off innings. So that from that perspective, I will go with Jackson Merrill. You haven't seen it before enough. I mean, he's done it I think 8 times total in 2 games. I think you got to give him a little bit more of a sample size. I don't think you could play Andujar every day. That's why I don't think he would be in consideration for the leadoff guy, even though Prolific thinks that needs to be the case. I'd go with Merrill at the top of the leaderboard. I think you got to change the leadoff situation. I think you need to get patient up there. I think at this point, and I've been a big component of Tatis batting leadoff, I think maybe him batting leadoff, he's in a more comfortable position. Did in the WBC, guy was raking in the WBC. I think that's another approach you can have. Now, that being said, that's one of the problems. I also think they got to be, whatever the approach they have the second time through the order, I think it's almost like you got to get that going the first time through the order. I mean, what Jackson Merrill being patient at the plate led to him getting the home run in the first inning. Small sample size. Maybe it's not because of what he had put in together, but his last 4 games, he's 5 for 15. He's been more patient at the plate, not chasing as much. Padres have to find a way to, I don't think, be as aggressive early in counts. We saw that, Frank, against Tarek Skubal in game 1 of the season. Remember how aggressive they were and they didn't run up the pitch count? I thought they'd go away from that, but they've really continued that throughout most of the season. And I think they don't do that the second time through the order, hence their results are being a lot better the second time through the order. You see it especially with Tatis. I mean, Tatis, the second time through the order, he's hitting over 300. When he gets his second shot at a starting pitcher. I think the way that this team plays late in games shows you that they're pretty good at making adjustments. They're good at fixing whatever the game plan was going into the game, but maybe they are too aggressive early in the game. I think they need to limit their aggressiveness early in the game. Now, I think in a leadoff spot, it would be great to see Jackson Merrill. I wouldn't mind seeing Tatis there. I know Jackson Merrill hit a home run yesterday in the 3-hole. That is statistically the worst spot he has played all, throughout his career. That's where his worst numbers are. So I'd have Jackson bat leadoff. I continue to have Fernando bat second. He hasn't had 2 poor numbers batting second. I'd go with Laureano batting third. I think you got to get him out of the leadoff spot, even though he led off the 9th inning with a home run. He hasn't had a lot of success leading off innings. I'd have him bat 3. We talked about what you could see out of some of these other guys as they move down in the order. I think you could have Manny bat 3. I think maybe you could have Xander Bogaerts bat 2 or 3. I mean, I think you can change things up a little bit at the top of the order for the Padres and start moving guys down into positions where they have a little bit more success. The other option you could do is you move Jackson Merrill like to the middle of the order where he has really done a lot of damage. From that perspective, maybe have Fernando lead off. I wouldn't be opposed to watching Xander lead off every once in a while either. But I think what this really gets to in the stem of a lot of these issues are they have guys that can't bat leadoff. They don't have a true leadoff hitter. And I mean, based on the numbers that we've seen, it's going to be hard for them to find a leadoff hitter unless they roll back with Fernando or roll the dice with Jackson Merrill. Yes or no, today with the moves that they might potentially make that is being teased in the lineup, do you think Ramón Laureano stays in the leadoff spot? What are your odds on that? He did homer last night.
I think he will. I think that home run saved him last night. As far if he wants to be in the leadoff spot, I think last night that home run saved him.
I have to ask this question because I'd like to know. Apparently Woods in the morning show said they don't make adjustments. If the second time through the order, they're hitting better than the first time through the order, is that not making adjustments?
Yeah.
I would say it's making adjustments. Statistically, it says otherwise. And then later in the game, they ambush bullpen arms. Is that just getting lucky? I mean, maybe like last night, obviously they had 2 hits, but when you look at a guy let me ask you this. I had these numbers up earlier with Fernando. Fernando, first time through the order, or should I say first time seeing a starting pitcher, is hitting 0.60? He's hitting 60.
I think he said 069.
Yeah, 069. He's batting 069.
Nice.
First time through the order. His second time seeing a starting pitcher this season in 2026, he's hitting over 300. The Padres in general get better the second time when they see a guy. Third time's relatively the same. And then when they see bullpen arms, they rake against the bullpen arms. Maybe they're just getting lucky against the fatigue. But the second time they see a starting pitcher, they hit the starting pitcher better than they did the first time. I would chalk maybe that's not an adjustment. Maybe that's just getting lucky. Maybe you're just benefiting from the fact that the guy's fatigued. I know what Kevin Acee said earlier today about the starting pitching and how they've done against it. I have said that on the air about 15 times today. They're hitting 211 with a 6-something OPS against starters, and they ambush relievers, which is the exact opposite of what Major League Baseball does in terms of the general scheme of things. When Fernando, when he sees a pitcher for the first time as a starter, 069, 260 OPS. He sees him a second time, he's hitting 304 with a 755 OPS. That's not bad for a guy that doesn't make adjustments, Frank. Maybe he's just benefiting from the fatigue. He's hitting 357 against relief pitchers, 785 OPS. A lot of the other Padres numbers are the same like that. So to me, I think the adjustments need to be the approach in the first inning. I think you need to find a way to see a lot of pitches. I also think you need to shake up the top of the order a little bit. And I go back to our conversation about the catching situation that we had yesterday. It might be time for Luis Camposano, Frank, to get more of the starts at catcher than Freddie Fermin and let Freddie Fermin be exactly what he was in Kansas City and be a backup catcher. Giving up two potential starting pitchers for a backup catcher, that trade doesn't feel as good at that point. Also, neither of them are playing for the Royals right now. One's out for the season, the other one's in the minor leagues. So maybe it was not as bad as you think. But I think I'm going to go, if I had to change things right now, the simple change I would do is I'd have Laureano bat third. I'd have Jake Cronenworth I'd have Jackson Merrill bat leadoff. I'd have Fernando bat 2, Ramón Laureano, Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Miguel Andujar could bat 6th. Maybe Gavin Sheets 6th, then Miguel Andujar, whatever you want to play first base, DH. I don't know what you do with Jake Cronenworth. I don't know how much you could potentially do with Jake Cronenworth at this point in time. aside from maybe he's hurt and you put him on the injured list, if you will. What are the odds you see a different lineup today, drastically different lineup today than you did yesterday? I think the odds are pretty high based on what the rumors are and what Jesse Agler said about what he has been, what the moves might be making, the Padres might be making. But I think I think the biggest problem right now in starting the offense is the beginning part of games. The leadoff spot, as we continue to say, for this team has not been that great. It's not just leading off games, but leading off innings and even being in the leadoff position. All three of those facets, Padres do not rank very high in. They do not have good numbers for. And that carries a lot of your offense at the beginning part of a game. It's why you get put into holes so early. And you have to climb your way out of it. So from an offensive perspective, this is the team that they have. It's the team they invested in. This is the team that they believe in. I think it's the team that a lot of you guys believe in as well, because at the end of the day, as much as this happens every single year, they get on a little bit of a losing stretch. The sky is falling, and this team can never win games. They've made the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years. I think they've gotten the track record to be able to be like, okay, they have to make some adjustments, but let's give them the opportunity to make some of these adjustments. But I think it starts early with the approach. I think it starts early with the leadoff spot. And they have to be able to shake that up a little bit. And with the way that Jackson Merrill swung it yesterday, I'd like to see him bat leadoff. I keep pulling up his numbers. I'll pull him up again. I mean, when he leads off an inning, he has been one of the best for the Padres this season. The only other one is Gavin Sheets. I don't necessarily know. I mean, I don't necessarily want to see Gavin Sheets in a leadoff spot, but maybe you got to try it at this point, because that's where it starts with this team. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you're calling in for the game, please wait on hold. We're going to try to get to that in the 1 o'clock hour. We're going to talk more Major League Baseball information, Major League Baseball trends from the first month in the next hour as well. We're going to preview Game 2 today. And again, you got to be watching on what their approach is against the sinker baller today, because the sinker ball slider combo has been devastating against this Padres team. And they got a really good one in Logan Webb tonight. So we'll see what these changes are. But to go back to the leadoff and inning situation for the Padres, because we've been updating you on this for the last couple of weeks, because the Padres have not had great numbers when leading off an inning. They're hitting 209 as a team when leading off an inning with a 635 OPS. Yes, I know it's difficult to lead off innings. It's not always going to be a guaranteed hit. Comparison to the rest of Major League Baseball, not great. Not great numbers.
No, certainly not. And that's something we talked about all season long, especially out of the leadoff spot. The top 3 in the order has not been there all season. Really, the top 4 of the order have not been there all season. And we know what the production has been out of the 8 and 9 hitters when it's been, when it's been Freddie Fermin and Jake Cronenworth. So that leaves only 3 guys really hitting. Your 5, 6, and 7 hitters are really the only ones that are producing. That is not conducive to winning baseball. However, that's not what the record shows. The record has shown that they have won these games and they've gotten the right part of the lineup up at the right time late in games to win these games and get you where you are in the National League West so far through the first 34 games of the season. So it has certainly been a very intriguing start, and your eyes are not seeing what the record is showing, and that it's a decent baseball team, yes, but it's also a team that's not hitting, and it's hard to connect the dots on how they've gotten this far based on what you're seeing.
I'm curious to see what the adjustments might be. When we come back, we'll play the midday sports standoff. Robert, Troy, John, wait on hold. We'll get to you when we come back for the final hour of the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing Summer Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. 1 o'clock on the Braden Surprenant Show. By the way, we talk about it. We've talked about it a couple of times now, but it's coming up on Thursday. Opportunity. Time to cheer on the Padres at Petco Park, America's #1 ballpark. Thursday, May 7th, 7:10, when the Padres host the St. Louis Cardinals. First 40,000 fans in attendance will receive a flame-throwing Mason Miller bobblehead presented by Cox. This item is only available while supplies last. Be sure to arrive early. Whether he's shutting down batters or throwing an immaculate inning, Miller always brings the heat with his fastballs. Limited tickets remain. Visit Padres.com/tickets. We have a bobblehead in studio. Here's the Mason Miller bobblehead. How about that? The flame coming off. It looks like beef jerky, according to Mud. A little beef jerky, it looks like. Not too bad. Padres baseball in full swing. Now's the time to catch a game at Petco Park. City Connect Fridays are back. The uniform is unveiled, and the team will wear them on the field every Friday. Your next chance is Friday, May 8th. Arrive early for Beer Fest, featuring $5 craft beers in Gallagher Square from the time gates open until first pitch. San Diego's biggest and best happy hour. On Sunday, be there for family fun with Kids Fest before the game. And following the game, kids can run the bases. Secure your tickets today at Padres.com/tickets. All right. Do we have a contestant for the midday sports standoff? Let's get to the midday sports standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, who we got playing today?
We have Troy in Point Loma today. Troy, how you doing today, bud?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Good. So today, again, middle game against the San Francisco Giants. We'll take a look now. The last 7 players who have played for both the Giants and the Padres. Now, you're going to have at least 30 appearances as a player in order for this, in order for you to count. Trenton Brooks, Connor Joe played for both teams. They did not hit 30 appearances for both teams, so those are not answers. You understand, Troy?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to have 3 players and 4 pitchers. Troy, you have the first guess. The most recent.
Luis Ariz.
Luis Ariz, correct.
The most recent Padres Giants?
Yes, most recent player to play for both teams.
Okay. How far back does this go, do you know?
The furthest back played for the Giants in 2017.
In 2017?
Yes. So it's within the last 10 years.
Okay. Oh, the furthest back. Okay. What about Connor Joe?
I said Connor Joe did not.
He has to play what? How many games?
30.
30 games.
Yes. For the players, 30 games, yes.
Okay. Donovan Solano.
Donovan Solano, correct. Donovan Solano played for the Padres in 2024 and for the Giants in 2019 through 21. Troy?
Blake Snell.
Blake Snell was not on this list because it's not in batting. So, yeah, but you're right. Blake Snell, correct.
Did he make 30 starts? Does he have to play 30 games?
No, the pitchers don't. He was not.
The pitchers just have to play a year or something? Or you didn't look at the pitchers?
No, I did look at the pitchers.
Okay.
Yeah, I did look at the pitchers. Pitchers are.
What about our guy Joey Lucchese? Did you look at the pictures? Or did you just look from the batting perspective?
Yeah, I did.
And a lot of these guys haven't had at bats because they don't hit anymore.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Give it Joey Lucchese. Fine.
Padres and players that play for the Padres and the Giants, most recently, that also had at least an at bat in 30 games. That is an oddly specific question.
It wasn't meant to be that oddly specific.
No.
Oh,
I gotta say, you haven't gone full. That's a Scraby moment. You had not gone full Scraby.
That was good. That was
you went
good question. Poor execution.
Full Scraby.
Good question. Poor execution.
On the question.
No. I had it set up.
Oh no.
20 minutes ago.
Oh no. Fallon, I need money in the chat. He says he's like the Mets.
Yeah, no, that's not even a foul. I'll eat that.
All right. Well, we're
Troy.
tied.
Go
Aren't we?
ahead.
Let's see how much more.
2-2.
Any more? Frank might have to look up some of the answers.
It's
Troy.
2-2.
Did Alex Cobb count?
No, Alex Cobb. No.
Okay.
They were
at least
relievers.
15 games.
The ones that I had were relievers. If that
Mark
means
Melanson.
He was one I had on the list. Yes.
The at bats. So, oh man.
Troy.
Wait, so are they all pitchers now?
No, there's 3 pitchers and 1 hitter. The one, 2 of them are still on the team currently.
Still on the Giants or still on the Padres?
Padres.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. Pass.
Current Padre that used to play for the Giants?
Mm-hmm. There's 2 of them.
Bryce Johnson is one of them.
Yes, he is.
Are they both position players? Or one of them a pitcher?
One's a pitcher.
One's a pitcher.
Again, all relievers.
Oh. Wandy Peralta. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good guess. Wandy Peralta was a Giant.
Correct.
He was a Giant for a couple of years, was he not?
He was a Giant from 2019 to 2021.
All right. So what are we missing now?
2 relievers.
2 bullpen arms.
Back into the bullpen.
Back into the bullpen.
Both were on the team. Both have been on the Padres since 2020.
I will go with, now here's the problem. I don't remember his. It's either, this is a 50-50 guess. Padres had Taylor Rogers, right? Not Tyler Rogers?
Taylor Rogers, correct.
Taylor Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
Troy?
So there's one more guy.
One more pitcher, back end of the back end of the bullpen. Played for the Braves.
I was just gonna guess Aniel De Los Santos.
No, not Aniel. Troy, hang on the line.
You said he played for the Braves recently?
Played for the Braves recently, yes. Troy, hang on the line. I'll get your information.
Are you talking about a left-hander? You're not. Oh,
hold on.
You're not talking about. I was thinking about Sean Manaea, but
I was not
okay.
talking about Sean Manaea.
What about Pierce Johnson, who seems to have played for everybody in the AL West?
That's who it was. It was Pierce Johnson. So, yeah, that was poor execution on my part. Good idea, poor execution. Troy, you're not going to get penalized for my stupidity.
That's an oh no moment.
Yeah.
See, you know what? See, here's the difference. You know, like, I feel like they jump on Scraby a little bit too aggressively in that instance. That is a honest mistake.
Yeah, that was a.
Do you want to give us the full list?
Well, of what I had Luis Ariz, Bryce Johnson, Donovan Solano, Wandy Peralta, Mark Melanson, Taylor Rogers, and Pierce Johnson. That's what I had.
So you were missing Blake Snell.
Yeah, and Joey Lucchese.
Sean Manaea.
Yeah, Manaea.
I don't think Matt Whistler played in enough games. He's another one, starting pitcher. But that's the other thing too. It's like I know exactly what you're talking about because I saw it yesterday. Is that what spurred this? No, it was the trivia question we had for the Padres Cardinals. Was like the last Cardinal, last player to play for the Padres that played for the Cardinals at some point in time. And that page on Baseball Reference has two totally separate entities. One is just hitters at the top.
One is just pitchers.
But you got to scroll all the way down to see the pitchers.
So what I did was, it was like 2 segments ago, and I'm like, oh God, I need something. And I thought, well, this kind of went over well before. Let's try this. Let's do it again. So yeah, that's how. Yeah.
Sorry.
It was like I said, good thought, very poor execution. And Troy, you will not be punished for my lack of execution there.
A lot of trends in the first month of the year for baseball. We'll talk about some of those trends and some big questions for some of the teams in Major League Baseball when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. Motorsports in 2026, proving one thing: speed isn't enough anymore. Execution wins races at Texas. Denny Hamlin led the charge for Toyota, but Chase Elliott beat him in a 4-lap sprint to the finish, winning by just 0.4 seconds after a late caution reset the field. Ryan Preece and Ty Gibbs brought the tension mid-pack, with contact sending Gibbs into the wall and out of the race in another aggressive Cup Series moment. In Xfinity, Kyle Larson held off Justin Algier in a JR Motorsports 1-2 finish, while in trucks, Carson Hocevar outdueled Kyle Busch in overtime for another statement win. And in F1, it was Kimi Antonelli surviving chaos in Miami to win his 3rd straight race, holding off Lando Norris in a race full of lead changes and safety cars. With another wild weekend of racing complete in NASCAR, they're making a very strong case to get your tickets for Father's Day weekend in San Diego. This week's Motorsports reinforced a familiar 2026 theme across the board: Toyota dominance on intermediates, late race chaos in NASCAR, and execution under pressure becoming the deciding factor more than raw speed, Frank.
Yeah, we'll start in NASCAR with the Cup Series at Texas Motor Speedway, where Chase Elliott once again proved that timing beats dominance when the race is on the line. From the start, it looked like Toyota was about to take full control. Denny Hamlin wasted no time moving forward from his 4th-place starting spot to take the lead, within just 20 laps from Carson Hocevar, who sat on the pole. That early speed set the tone for much of the day, and it looked like Joe Gibbs Racing was going to be the team to beat. At one point, it was nearly a Toyota lockout at the front, with Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, and Christopher Bell running 1, 2, and 3, with Ty Gibbs also inside the top 10. Hamlin himself admitted they believe they had the best car early in the race, but Texas did what Texas does. It tightened up late, and it punished even the smallest mistakes. Bell's race unraveled after contact with Todd Gilliland, while Hamlin avoided the chaos but had to fight through consistent restarts and track position swings. By the final stage, Elliott and Tyler Reddick had separated themselves slightly from the Toyota pack, and then came the turning point with a caution coming with 11 laps to go.
Yeah, Hamlin made a strategic call to stay out and guarantee track position on the front row, choosing track position over fresh tires. Elliott, however, executed the restart perfectly. In a 4-lap sprint, he cleared Hamlin and never looked back, winning by just 0.4 of a second. It marked Elliott's 2nd win of the season and continued a strange but consistent pattern between him and Hamlin. When Elliott wins, Hamlin is right there in 2nd place. When Hamlin wins, Elliott, usually the runner-up. It's becoming one of the most consistent rivalries in the Cup Series right now, even if the results are not splitting
evenly. Bigger takeaway, though, even with dominant speed, Toyota couldn't convert at the end, and that raises a bigger question about whether raw pace still matters as much as execution in late race restarts. Behind them, Tyler Reddick quietly finished fourth, continuing a strong and consistent stretch that is starting to separate him in the points battle. But the most heated moment of the weekend didn't come at the front. It came mid-pack. Ryan Preece, Ty Gibbs involved in a heated incident that ended with Gibbs crashing out after contact sent him into the wall. Preece made it clear after the race that his frustration stemmed from earlier aggressive moves by Gibbs, saying respect on track has to go both ways. The result was another DNF. Did not finish for Gibbs on a non-drafting track, continuing a frustrating stretch after multiple recent incidents. It also added another layer to what's becoming a more aggressive, less forgiving Cup Series garage in 2026. But on to the Xfinity Series.
The O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, I forgot to switch that. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, Kyle Larson once again showed why he's one of the most versatile drivers in motorsports, holding off Justin Allgaier in a Junior Motorsports 1-2 finish. Allgaier had the run late, but Larson controlled clean air and track position the final laps to secure the win by just under 0.3 of a second. It was another example of how difficult passing has become in clean and evenly matched equipment even when the pace is there. In the Truck Series, Carson Hocevar continued his breakout momentum with a statement overtime win over Kyle Busch. Busch, who has historically dominated at Texas in the trucks, looked strong late, but could not hold off Hocevar's restart execution. Once Hocevar cleared the field, he never looked back, winning by nearly a second in overtime. It was another reminder in 2026, Truck Series racing, restarts are everything, and Hocevar is quickly becoming one of the more dangerous drivers in those moments.
Formula One, Miami delivered one of the most chaotic but controlled races of the season as Kimi Antonelli secured his third straight win. The race featured multiple lead changes, first lap chaos involving Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, safety car interruptions, and constant strategy swing. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Padres have had trouble with a sinker ball pitcher. They are going against a sinker ball pitcher today. We'll see how they do. They said they're going to make some adjustments today, potentially, maybe with the lineup, maybe with the roster. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Gwen and Chris will have you covered starting at 2 o'clock. We haven't had too much time to dive into MLB news, notes, and ESPN yesterday gave a letter grade for the first month of the season to every team, and we're going to dive into it from a National League standpoint with a big question that needs to be answered for each of these teams. Let's get to some Major League Baseball talk, if you will.
I will, as a matter of fact. All right, first team, again, we'll start with the National League West. It's most relevant to us, is it not? First team, the Los Angeles Dodgers. What grade do you think the national media gave the Los Angeles Dodgers?
I mean, I would give them probably a C or a B minus based on how good they are compared to what they're actually doing. I would say the national media is probably more optimistic. They probably give them a B plus or something.
Can you stop looking at the sheet?
Oh, you mean the sheet I created?
Yeah. Can you stop doing that? Still lead on paper, but not dominant. Offense has hit a rut. They are just batting .223 over a recent stretch. Roki Sasaki is still looking like the greatest signing the Padres did not make. Biggest question for the Dodgers right now is, are they pacing themselves, or is this the first crack in the dynasty?
I won't know until the Padres play this team. Was that next week?
Yep.
Wow. Padres got the Dodgers next week. Get the bad stuff out of their system offensively before they play the Dodgers next week. I don't think it's a crack yet. I think, again, we've seen this team struggle out the gate and then just kind of hang around and then turn it on in the second half. No, I just think they're probably pacing themselves. That's 2 years in a row they won the World Series. They've gone the deepest they can go. They went 7 games last year. They have time to just kind of pace it out. I mean, they're not in a position where they're not going to make the playoffs. There's no stress up there for that. They could just go out there and play. So, no, I don't think that's the case.
Next up is the Padres. And if the national media gave the Dodgers only a B+, what do you think they gave the Padres?
C+?
No, they gave them a B+, actually.
Wow.
On pace. Record says good. Metrics say mid. Negative run differential, -2. I believe it's -2 again after tonight, no? After last night. Core is underperforming. Rotation is shaky. But they're still keeping pace with the Dodgers. Are the Padres clutch, or is this a ticking time bomb?
I think both can kind of be true, right? I think the Padres can be clutch. I think having that gene late in the season is going to be great. The fact that they have been in games like this and they have won games like this, I think bodes well for the future. I also do think it's a ticking time bomb where you cannot rely on this the entire season. You're going to have to win some laughers early. You're going to have to get leads on teams. You're going to have to hit better in the first inning. Statistically, you're going to have to hit better the first time facing a starter. You are going to have to fix a lot of the inner working numbers of this offense if you want to be where they say they want to be at the end of the season. So I think it's both. I think they do have the clutch gene, but I also think this is a ticking time bomb and not a recipe for prolonged success.
Right. It's nice to see these walk-off wins coming, especially late in the season. But if you're relying on that at the beginning of the year, that is a sign of a bigger issue. We'll skip to the Giants here because we're playing them now. Dead last in home runs, walks, and steals. Devers is so bad they're threatening to trade him to the Mets. And the rotation additions are failing. National media gave them a D+.
Gave a D-.
D-, yes, for the start of the season. How long before the Giants pivot from team that is buying to a full teardown?
But they have Luis Ariz, and they hit a lot of singles, Frank. What do you mean they are last in home runs and last in walks and last in stolen bases and can't slug and also in last place?
Won the trade deadline.
They did win the trade deadline. What would the full teardown even look like for the Giants anyway? Like
Matt Chapman gone.
Is he under contract?
Yeah, they're both under contract.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you got to. Can you trade Willie Adames right now? He's got the worst WAR out of any player at shortstop in the National League West. He is statistically the worst shortstop in the NL West, surprisingly. I don't know if they have a lot of trade value for those guys. They're not going to trade away Rafael Devers. You can't. Nobody's going to want him. They traded Luis Ariz at the deadline. Hey, maybe the Padres could trade for him at the deadline. All right, I'm done with that. I think it's going to be a while before they pivot to a full teardown. I mean, I don't think they're going to do that. You can't.
I think they have the ability to do that.
I don't think they have the ability to do that either. I also don't think that you would do that in the first year of a manager that you're giving a chance to. Like, you've got to give these guys time. It's not going to be like, I don't think they're going to be as disastrous of they got to get rid of Vitello after 1 year and they trade everything away. I think they're far from that, but they're not off to a great start to the season. They're just good against the Padres and the Dodgers, apparently. They've racked up most of their wins.
Well, there you go. Better to be good against them than somebody else. The Colorado Rockies were given a B by the national media for the start to their season. Record is still bad, but they are way more competitive than they were this time last year. Pitching has improved, finally not dead last, and Chase Dollander is finally emerging as that young star. Are the Rockies sneakily building something, or are they just less bad?
I think they're setting a good foundation. Honestly, I think they've done a pretty good job. I mean, they've been competitive. I know the Padres swept them in 4 here, but they were close to taking 2 out of 3 for the Padres in Colorado. I think they've been competitive. I think Chase Dollander has been really good. I think their starting pitching has gotten a lot better. I think they just have been. I think they've improved. I don't think they're less bad, even though they are. I think they're actually trending in the right direction for that. Are you on to the Diamondbacks now?
Yeah, Dodgers are in Houston, by the way, renewing the most pointless rivalry in baseball. And Rockies are playing the Mets. They're postponed for today, doubleheader tomorrow.
Rain, go away. Come again another day.
Arizona. And the reason why I left them for last is because they really seem to be the most irrelevant team in the division right now. Offense is top heavy with Carroll, Marte, and Perdomo. Pitching is a disaster, 29th in rotation ERA, and there's not much depth beyond the stars. Diamondbacks were still given a C, though, by the national media for their start. Is this just a bad pitching stretch or proof that Arizona is not a contender anymore?
I think they will slowly start to turn around, but their pitching is a disaster. 29th in rotation ERA is not great. And the big question for the Diamondbacks going into the season was about the rotation, was it not? It was about the pitching staff. Like, they had guys coming off of injury. Were they going to be able to pitch with the likes of the Padres and the Dodgers, be able to handle the lineups in the National League West? So far, not a lot. They don't have a lot of depth. I think they're an average baseball team, maybe slightly above by the end of the season. They're 16-17. We'll see if they are in a position to buy at the trade deadline, but they haven't been that great out of the gate. I think they've been slightly disappointing, the Arizona Diamondbacks have. And the Padres split with this team, but the Padres had a good chance to win both games in Mexico City. We'll see what they do the next time they play Arizona. NL West in general, Frank, has been sliding. It's been a little bit different since Sunday. Step in the right direction for a handful of teams, but division is not looking very good at this point in the season.
No, and for them, they're at home against the Pittsburgh Pirates for this series. So it's so weird how, again, just irrelevant Arizona has been this season. You haven't really heard too much about them, either positive or negative. You're hearing a lot about the Dodgers, of course. Padres are doing what they're doing. Colorado's on the come up, and the Giants are just disappointing, if there's a stronger word for it. But Arizona, Arizona's just kind of existing right now in Major League Baseball.
When we come back, we're going to look at the rest of the National League West. Some teams are off to historic starts. Some teams are off to historic positive starts and historic negative starts. Looking at you, Frank.
Yeah, I know.
When we come back, we'll talk about it and the biggest surprises in all of Major League Baseball, plus a preview of Padres and Giants tonight. We'll talk about it when we come back to finish up the show. Braden Surprenant, show standing on Sports Station 97 through the Fan. San Diego High School Sports producing a rare kind of athlete right now, and Daniel Horniak might be the best example. 6'9" sophomore at Poway High, who plays both baseball and volleyball at the varsity level. But by the way, both spring sports here in San Diego. He doesn't just participate, by the way. He's good enough to pitch at nearly 90 miles an hour in baseball and be called a unicorn in volleyball because of his size, his passing ability, and his athleticism. But there's a catch. He's been invited to the under-19 national team development camp, which could force him to miss the CIF playoffs in both sports. So the question becomes, do you chase high school championships or international development at 17 years old? And honestly, there's no easy answer, just opportunity, pressure, and a decision most athletes will never have to make. This week in San Diego High School sports, it is defined by only one theme: specialization and versatility, and what it costs to chase greatness. And no story captures that better than Poway's Daniel Horniak. At Poway High School, he is a sophomore, and he is doing something you almost never see at an elite high school level. He's playing two varsity sports at once, baseball and volleyball. At 6'9", he's already a mismatch problem in both, a pitcher and a first baseman in baseball, and a high-level two-way presence in volleyball. But here's the catch. He may miss the CIF playoffs in both sports because of an international opportunity. Horniak has been invited to the under-19 national team development camp with a chance to represent the United States in Canada later this month. That's the kind of decision most athletes never get close to making. Stay local for playoffs or chase international development at age 17.
And here's the honest truth. There's not really a right answer, just opportunity cost. His volleyball coach calls him a unicorn, not just because of his size, but because he can pass, defend, and move like a much smaller athlete. And in baseball, he's already hitting 89 to 90 miles an hour as a sophomore. This is what makes his situation so unique and so complicated, because at some point, every elite multi-sport athlete does have to choose. A very interesting conversation for a very unique player, Frank.
Yeah, for me, I'm one of those guys that if you want to play like one of the best, you have to put yourself up against the best. And I think internationally might do that for him. So for me, if I'm Daniel, I'm taking the international bit. It's something you may never get an opportunity to do again. Still have 2 years of high school left. So I understand you may not get to CIF playoff again, but that is something you at least still have opportunity to get to. For me, I take international, and representing your country is something that you may never, that's a once in a lifetime potentially opportunity that is put in front of you. And as a way to grow, I don't see how you can pass that up.
Especially as a sophomore. Now,
Yeah.
I think there's other questions. If he was a senior, I think it would make it a little bit more difficult,
100%.
obviously, because guess what you can't get to do? You don't get to go back to high school and play, with your friends, with kids you grew up with. And that's already a dying kind of situation in both youth sports right now anyway. So that is a difficult decision. Is that for baseball? It doesn't specify what sport.
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters. I mean, representing your country in any sorts of situation is really impressive. Regardless, if he takes the baseball route, he might not ever be able to represent his country at an Olympic or something like that, right? But if he goes the volleyball route and he's elite at volleyball, maybe he gets to do that in the future. But there's not a lot of answers there for what he can and cannot do. Maybe he misses out on the playoffs. I think as a sophomore, you got to go do the international thing. I think it's a different conversation later on, especially if he has never done it before. But now shifting to a bigger picture of San Diego talent spreading across college baseball. For local stars, former local stars continue to produce at a high level. Jet Kennedy is hitting .337 at Cal Berkeley. Power numbers from the shortstop spot. Trevor Smith contributing at Washington State. He is the brother of Austin Smith, who played at Granite Hills and then went on to play at USD before now getting drafted and playing for the Toronto Blue Jays organization. You got Matt Priest out of La Jolla Country Days hitting for .340 at Washington State after transferring from USC. San Diego isn't just producing talent, but it's also exporting impact players immediately into the college lineups. And as we do these high school reports, it's good to go back and look at what some of those kids that have already graduated are doing at the college level, Frank.
Yeah, for sure. It's always nice to see how some of these players have progressed. And the same thing can be said as on the softball side as the region continues to dominate more, staying locally. At Stanford, Torrey Pines product, Kara Chan is hitting nearly 400, while El Cap's Ava Gall is also producing at an elite clip behind the plate. And at Arizona, Cathedral Catholics
Serenity
Trice, there you go, is hitting 420 after transferring from Iowa State. This is now a trend, not an exception. San Diego hitters are showing up and producing right away at Power 5 softball programs as well. And really quick, going back to Daniel Horniak, I believe that that international development camp is it's going to be at Irvine. It's a 2-week camp. I believe it's for volleyball.
Volleyball opportunity there. So 1:34 on a Tuesday. Padres, Giants coming up at 6:45 p.m. Pacific time. Padres trying to even up the series at 1 game each. Tonight against the Gigantes, it will be Walker Buehler for the Padres going against Logan Webb of the Giants. Logan Webb, 2-3 with a 4.30 ERA. Logan Webb, sinker ball pitcher. Got the sinkers and the sliders for the Padres tonight, something that they have been unable to hit very efficiently so far this season. We'll see how they do. We're going to talk more about Major League Baseball in just a second, but first, let's get back to the phone calls today. Let's get out to Martin and Santee. Martin, what's going on your Tuesday?
Gentlemen, I'm glad I didn't call before I went to yoga class today. So it would have been probably a different conversation, but got me in the right mood, got me in the right mindset. I've been a Padre fan since the early 70s, and this team is still good. It's got great players. I've been, it's been rough years, where you could get into the stadium free after the sixth inning back in the day. So anyway, just to keep the faith. I mean, that's what we do. It's our team. They are who they are. I think they will get better. I hope they will. Cronenworth, I'm with both of you. I don't see it. I just don't. And I don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, just wanted to say, keep the faith. It's our team. It's our Padres. Don't go off the rails. Way above 500. They're going to do it tonight. And again, just want to let you know how much I appreciate all that you bring to the community besides the Padres. So from the Aztecs to the high school sports to the YouTube stuff that you have on your other pages and in between. So good stuff. Keep it up. And again, appreciate it. Just remember, it's our team. This is our team. These are the Padres. These are our Padres. Win, lose, or draw. And Frank, I empathize with you right now. So sorry, but the Mets are who they are, but you're a fan. And you will always love the Mets because you are a fan. We are fans. We are Padre fans. So guys, have a great afternoon. Go Padres, and thanks for all that you bring to the sports radio.
I appreciate it, Martin. Thanks again for the phone call.
If there was ever a day we needed a phone call from Uncle Martin, today was the day.
Talk people off the ledge. Tried my best today. Talk people off the ledge. Tried my best. Try to make Padres baseball enjoyable for you. Foul on Nate for thinking we're going to play These Are Our Colts.
I thought about it, honestly.
Do it. Do it.
This is our Colts. This is our team. We bleed blue.
Please, nobody ever come up with a song like that.
I genuinely thought about doing it.
You had a lot of great thoughts on the drops today. The execution just wasn't there.
Hey, I didn't do it.
I'm just saying, you could have done it. Could have done the erasing your voice at me. That would have been funny as heck.
I was stunned in disbelief with that one. So sorry.
We had a phone caller knock Frank out of his seat today. He was laying on the ground for about an entire segment. So funny. So funny. Foul on the 4 letters for bringing that song back up.
He draws the foul.
The song that should never be named ever. Ever. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. All right, Frank, it's time to get to the rest of the National League. Some of the grades for the first month of the season. ESPN put out their grades. We got some questions to answer when it comes to Major League Baseball.
All right, let's finish this puppy off. We got 15 minutes left to go.
All right, Atlanta Braves. Thanks. A+ for sure.
Thanks.
Best.
You're just getting kicked in the teeth all day today, haven't you, for some of these things?
Best team in baseball right now.
Oh, you know what? That was from our MLB video we recorded yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What was it? The Braves are the what?
Best team in baseball.
I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. Can you speak up a little louder?
Best team in baseball right now.
Adam needs to be able to hear it from his desk.
Turn the volume up then. Leads MLB in runs, OPS, and is near the top in home runs. Rotation is holding despite injuries. Chris Sale and Bryce Elder are stepping up. Reinforcements are coming in the form of Spencer Strider, and Ronald Acuna is now on his annual IL stint. Are the Braves the clear World Series favorite already?
No. Was it last year or the year before the Phillies jumped out to an insane start? And I was like, they're going to run out of gas. I'm just saying, I feel it's early in the season. As much as we like to use it's early for when things are negative, you can also use it for when things are overly positive. I'm just telling it's just early in the season. I would not consider the Braves the World Series favorite already. And I know they've passed the Dodgers and like the overall power rankings on certain pages and stuff like that. But until somebody knocks that team off, they're going to be the favorite to win the World Series every year.
I need money. I'm going to answer your question right now. What team does Frank hate more, the Phillies or the Braves? I'll answer it this way. I hate the Atlanta Braves. I loathe the city of Philadelphia. How about that one?
I haven't heard a lot of people that, unless they're from Philly, like Philly too much.
The Chicago Cubs, remember they were in last place first couple weeks of the season. They have an A-. Winning despite injuries, plus a slow start, a deep roster, and strong management. No true ace in the rotation, which leads to the question of, can you win a pennant without a true ace?
I don't think you can. And here's what I'm going to say about this. I don't think the Cubs have the pitching to last the entire long term of the season. They have the slug. This is a team that rakes. I don't necessarily know if they have the pitching to get this done. And if they do get it done, it pokes a giant hole in the narrative that pitching is the only thing you need. You need guys that can swing. These guys can swing it. I think we saw it here at Petco Park earlier this week. It is the Chicago Cubs offense that's going to carry them to this point in time. But they'll probably, I bet you they're going to be in the use. I think they're going to be in play for a number one starter, if you will, at the trade deadline.
That would not surprise me.
A- is kind of high, but you know what? They make a compelling argument with the entire winning despite injuries and the slow start to the season they've had. They're in a pretty good spot right now.
Another thing that has another team that's getting an A-, also in that same division, the St. Louis Cardinals. Overachieving early, young talent is starting to show in Jordan Walker and in J.J. Weatherholt, who's made his major league debut this year. They have one massive red flag, though, and it's that they're last in strikeout rate for their pitchers. Can a low strikeout pitching staff actually survive in today's game?
No, I don't think this team can survive either. I think they've done some pretty impressive things. I mean, the fact that the Cardinals have a winning record right now, we're going to see them on Thursday. We'll see them up close. Maybe they're a lot better than what a lot of people thought at the beginning of the season. They are really much overachieving, but we saw another young team overachieve in the first month of the year with starting pitching that was okay, not very good, with low strikeouts. That was the Padres in 2019. They didn't survive. I don't think the Cardinals are going to survive this, but I think they get a great letter grade for the first month of the year. I thought they were fantastic the first month of the year.
Yeah, they've been absolutely incredible. A nice story as well. Cincinnati Reds get a B+. Record looks great at 20-13 at the time, but 7-0 in one-run games. That is unsustainable. Offense ranks 25th. Is this just smoke and mirrors? Are they legit, or are they the biggest fraud in baseball?
Again, it comes out of pitching. I don't think they have necessarily the pitching to make it through the entire season. I don't think they're a fraud. I still think like good teams have to find ways to win. You find ways to win when you're a good team, despite not playing well, despite a lot of other things. So I think the Reds are they're going to be there near the end of the season. They got a good manager too. That Terry Francona wins wherever he goes. I think he's going to get those guys right. But the fact that they rank 25th in offense and they play in the Great American Bandbox, not a great sign for things to come.
No, absolutely not. Up next, the Milwaukee Brewers. They got a B. Plus 46 in run differential. That is elite, but the offense is weak and the bullpen is shaky, but they are still finding ways to win. Do you trust the numbers or the eye test with the Brewers?
I trust the numbers because they win every year. I don't think you can distrust the Brewers right now, or the Guardians for that matter. They're just find a way to be there at the end of the season despite any lack of additions, mostly subtractions. Every year, really good players leaving the Brewers. Every year, right there in contention at the end of the season. Every year, winning the division. I'm not going to bet against the Milwaukee Brewers anymore. Until they get officially eliminated, they still have a chance. Even if they're like 40 games under 500. They just find ways to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Next up, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Massive offensive jump, scoring 5.26 runs per game. Historic turnaround from last year. And this team is actually watchable now without being forced to watch them. Are the Pirates finally ahead of schedule?
I think they're on schedule. I think they're going to come back down to earth a little bit. We saw this with the Pirates a couple of years ago, remember? And then the Padres swept them in 7 games in 2 separate series, albeit not facing Paul Skeens. But until the Pirates put it all together for the entire season, it's going to be hard to believe that they're not going to just start to run out of gas middle to the end of the season like we've seen the Pirates do so many different times. So I think they're on schedule. The fact that they're being competitive, I think, is great. The fact that they're a tough out right now is great. I think they've made a climb from just a year ago, and they continue to climb with this young core.
I agree as well. The Philadelphia Phillies, F. Worst run differential in baseball at minus 45. Manager already fired. Defense and pitching issues are everywhere. Is this just a bad month, or is the playoff window for the Phillies officially closed?
I think it's closing. They got a lot of old players. Their young guys are not even that young. They're not contributing as much. They have a lot of star power that's under contract for a long period of time. They fired their manager. And if it wasn't for the Mets being off to a terrible start, the Phillies would be the biggest disappointment in all of baseball. I mean, the luckiest thing for them has been the Metropolitans, who are starting to turn things around, it looks like. They're winning 3 games in a 7-day span. Hang the banner. I think the Phillies are in worse shape than the Mets. I think the Mets can overcome this. I don't think the Phillies can. I think the Phillies are about to get worse. I don't think the Phillies could be buying at the deadline, but we'll see. Maybe they'll turn things around. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Like we discussed yesterday, I can't even enjoy it because the Mets are just as bad.
Speaking of the Mets.
Yeah, speaking of. Mets also get an F. That's too generous. Roster construction is a disaster. Didn't see that in December. Injuries are everywhere. Worst OPS in baseball. Did the Mets outsmart themselves into being bad?
I don't know what that means. Did they outsmart themselves into being bad by not signing Pete Alonso? By letting guys walk? By getting guys like Luis Robert Jr., who's always hurt? I'll let you answer this question.
To outsmart yourself would insinuate that David Stearns has more than one brain cell to rub together.
Oh, no.
This guy, remember, was demoted out of the general manager spot at Milwaukee before the Mets were allowed to talk to him to become the general manager. Steve Cohen was sold a bill of goods with this guy. David Stearns is a fool who has to go. Carlos Mendoza. If you're going to pinch hit MJ Melendez, who's your only hitter right now, every single game with Austin Slater, maybe move him out of the 3 spot in the lineup. I swear, MJ Melendez in Anaheim hit a home run. He was then the next at bat told to bunt, and then the next at bat was taken out of the game for Austin Slater. The only guy who is hitting, your number 3 hitter, can't stay in the game. Manager, gone. General manager, gone. Reset entirely. Goodbye, Mendoza. Goodbye, Stearns. You guys are going to have a lot of fun seeing them in June. They are going to be pathetic.
You feel better?
No.
Oh, you're supposed to feel better after that. You think any of the other fans that called in today feel better? We tried our best today. Biggest surprises in baseball. Good surprises. Braves dominance, Pirates offensive
That's
explosion.
a good surprise.
National offense. White Sox competence. How about that?
Yeah, congratulations.
That's core producing. Murakami's been great for the White Sox.
Yeah, because, why sign Murakami when you can get Jorge Polanco, who's always hurt, and
Luis Robert
is
Jr.,
hurt.
who's always hurt. Yeah, you could always have those options. Pirates offense, I think, yeah, for sure. Nationals offense, second in runs scored in April.
That's cool.
Despite limited star power.
Padres lost the Soto trade.
We're back to losing that. Bad surprises. Big market failures. All F grades. Astros, Red Sox, Mets, Phillies. I don't think you could really argue against that.
Nope. Not at all.
What about the Mariners? Did we overrate Seattle?
No, I think that division is still not good enough that if they figure it out and they find some level of consistency, that they'll still win that division.
Giants collapse. No offense whatsoever. Major roster misfires.
But
is this one of the worst lineup constructions in baseball is the question that was asked.
But the deadline.
But Luis Ariz.
But the trade deadline.
But Luis Ariz. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Scott in RB. Scott, what's going on, man?
How we doing? Hey, I want to give a quick tribute to Bob Skinner, if that's okay, who passed.
Sure.
In the early 80s, I went to San Diego School of Baseball, owned by Roger Craig, Norm Sherry, and Bob Skinner. And it was just so great. I used to follow out Alan Trammell and Flannery from the coast, out 52, in the mornings, because it started really early, like 6:37 in the mornings. And they were coaches. Tony was a coach. They had guest guys like Sparky Lyle and Pete Rose that were guest instructors. And that was back in the day where, the guys didn't make a ton of money and they took these jobs. But Bob Skinner was all those guys, Roger Craig, the owners of San Diego School of Baseball, were amazing men that taught me as a high schooler how to pitch. Tom House was my pitching coach. Just incredible experience, and what they set up for about 100 kids for 2 winters. I did it, and I just thought he was a great gentleman, and I wanted to pass on that memory of a guy that brought me a lot of joy as a baseball enthusiast and a kid, and just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, I appreciate that, Scott. I mean, obviously, with community stuff, we want to be, as part of the community as possible. San Diego baseball. I'm glad, Scott, you shared those thoughts about that particular situation. So, appreciate that. And I think I did a couple of those camps when I was a kid, if I'm not mistaken. I think I did one at like Palomar College or something. But anyway. Boldest take for tonight's game. What do you think's going to happen?
Padres keep the same lineup, roughly, but I think they'll win this game.
I think they beat Logan Webb. They beat him last time. Gave him 3 earned runs last time. Tatis hits a bomb. Speaking into existence. We'll see if that happens tomorrow.